Good morning, everybody. Today's date is February 16th, 2022. This is a regular meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being conducted in Albany with video conferencing to New York City and Buffalo. Present today are Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Fan, and Commissioner Ford. Staff in attendance, General Counsel Meyerhoff, Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Donahue, and myself, Secretary to the Authority Roper. This meeting is also being live streamed on the Authority's YouTube channel. The next meeting dates are March 2nd, March 16th, and March 30th. Please silence your cell phones while in the meeting room and take any phone calls and conversations you may need to have outside. Items will be called in the order they are signed in, first in Buffalo, then in Albany, and then no earlier than 10:30 in New York City. When your item is called, please approach the podium and identify yourselves. Representatives, please also identify your clients who are present. Presentation time will be limited to 5 minutes per side. If there's support and opposition, please split the 5 minutes amongst yourselves. Chairman, do you have any announcements?
No, thanks.
All right, so the first item is in Buffalo. It's agenda number 321. That's ALDASKELLER Wine Company, LLC.
I'm sorry, say that number again?
321. I believe there's opposition, so if the applicants can introduce themselves first.
Good morning, members of the full board. My name is Jacob Yurkowski. I'm the attorney for the applicant. I'm joined by the applicant licensee Brandon Opalik and the consultant Robert Heil of SLA Solutions.
All right, and if the opposition could come up now and
Hi, good morning. My name is Thomas Williams. I'm the owner of Time for Wine and Spirits.
Thank you.
Wine, spirit, okay.
Go ahead.
I would just make a brief statement. I am opposing this application solely for the fact that the applicant's proposed location is 350 feet from my front door. My store has been servicing the Southwest neighborhood for almost 5 years. The applicant wants to sell a niche product, a style of wine that I already offer and that there is not much demand for. He is advertising, as he stated in the February edition of the city paper, a wine shop that will focus exclusively on offering natural wine. Currently, I offer 13 brands that are made with certified organic grapes, 11 which are natural wine. To give you an example of how low the demand is, in the past 12 months, my sales for the organic wine category were $4,110. The South Wedge neighborhood is a small community. Yes, there are consumers that enjoy this style of winemaking, but there are not enough that would require a second store for this, especially this close to me.
I'm sorry, it was $4,000 for 1 month or for how long?
That's for the past 12 months.
For the past 12 months, $4,100 of organic wine sale?
Correct.
Okay. And how many SKUs of organic wine do you have again?
I have 15.
15.
I'm sorry, 13, 11 are natural wine.
And how many total SKUs do you have in your store, you say?
Overall with everything?
Yeah, roughly.
Ooh, I didn't take a count on that one. Sorry.
Would you say it's 100 or 1,000?
It's under 1,000.
hundreds.
It's a very small shop, 2,500 square feet.
Okay, got it.
Did you take the license over from South Wedge Spirits and Wine? Was there existing before?
No, sir, I'm new licensee on that store.
I'm saying, was it South Wedge Spirits and Wine there before?
Yes, he was there. Yes, he was there previously.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Now the applicant.
All right, you can bring the applicant up. Thank you.
Good morning. We're here on behalf of the package store application of ALDASKELLER Wine Company. As was alluded to earlier, this is going to be a very small niche store comprising of 825 square feet of retail space with approximately 70 to 74 SKUs of organic, natural, vegan, and gluten-free wine. It will be the only store of this kind in the Rochester area. We understand that the opposition is in very close proximity, but I think his statement regarding his low sales of organic wine goes to the fact that we will serve the public convenience and advantage because we will not be creating competition for time for wine. In fact, it's in my submission to the board that Mr. Opalik, the applicant, hopes to be able to refer, he's a customer of that store currently and hopes to be able to refer clients to that store who are looking for items that he doesn't carry. He's looking for a very specific market that is not served in the area.
So let me ask you this then. It may not be served, but he does supply 15 SKUs, and he clearly has sold $4,000. Let's say you sell $150,000. You can't run a store on $150,000 of natural wine.
Maybe not, but I believe respectfully that's for the applicant to endeavor.
That is, but here's what happens regularly when people come in here and tell me they're going to only serve organic and natural wines. They figure out pretty quickly that it's not economically feasible, and then they come back and they want to be a full-blown liquor store. And at that point, I got to shut them down.
And we understand that.
It's much harder for me to shut a place that's already been running and it has an investment in it than it is to tell them that maybe they should go to a different location.
I just want to ask my client one question. Would you accept a condition?
Absolutely.
Members of the full board, I just was speaking with my client. He would accept a condition on his license that he will only serve organic and natural wine. I can let him speak to the market. He's a level
in my mind, that was already a condition because that's what he said he was interested in selling. That wasn't even a question.
Understood. So
I can't speak for the other two commissioners.
Yeah, he's applying for a wine-only store. But what he's saying is that we can't stop you 2 years from now from wanting to change class or change.
Right.
Well, we can, but we would have to shut him. Well, it wouldn't. Not shut him, but say no.
There are actually, respectfully, there are actually two issues. The first is whether they would seek to change class, and the second is whether they would just seek to sell other kinds of wines, which would not require a class change. In fact, although it would be a restriction on the license, I guess you could, does that get put on the license? If it's
It would be put on the license, even if it isn't, it's still a condition imposed by the members, so we have to come back here.
Right. So we would then have to, we'd also be concerned about him selling the business to someone else who then,
will change.
maybe perhaps unaware of the condition,
Yeah.
would sell all kinds of wine.
There's no intention to deviate. This is what my client is.
It's not, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was not suggesting that there was an intent. I have no reason to believe that your client doesn't intend to try to make a go of running an organic wine store. Whether that works or not is something none of us here can predict.
Several others in the state. All we have is the numbers.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. That was my main question.
No, it's a very valid concern, and it's one that my client's aware of and willing to take on. I can speak from my experience in representing other stores in the Buffalo area, and there's 3 that apparently have been open for quite some time here and seem to do well. So it's my client's hope that by focusing on this, that he can appeal to a market that is otherwise underserved. There's no intention to compete. There's no intention to deviate from the business model. This is a niche product that my client believes in his market research and his work as a sommelier currently in the restaurant scene in Rochester that is needed and wanted by the consumer. And we won't know if it will.
What evidence do you have that it's wanted by the consumer? Because the evidence the opposition just gave us would say otherwise.
We understand. If I could let my client speak to this, he's in the industry and he works as a sommelier currently in restaurants in town.
Well, I'm not looking for an opinion. I'm wondering, do you have any kind of surveys or any kind of
Okay, yes, sir.
letters from consumers?
So, sir, over the last 3 years, I've been working with a restaurant group in Rochester. helping implement a natural wine program there. So far, there's been about 5 or 6 on-site licensed restaurants that are now strictly serving natural wine. I am the manager at a few of these places, and I actually help set up these programs. We have such a huge following from our clients that are looking for wines that are natural, that are vegan, that are sulfite-free. Throughout the last 3 years, I have been with these restaurants doing natural wine pop-ups with great success. Lots of Rochesterians coming in, really excited about these types of wines and have been, really wanting to have a place where they can go buy these wines and enjoy them at home, where they don't have to sit in a restaurant in order to, enjoy these wines. I'm also working with distributors, that only focus on natural wines, and I have many distributors that have never set foot in Time for Wine. They don't even have accounts there. So I'm representing a very, the world of natural wine. It's very big and it's growing, and there's just a lot of underrepresentation, within Rochester for people to be able to buy these wines and enjoy them at home. And I believe in it. It's something that is important to me. And I'm, not looking to deviate from that. I'm looking to educate people, share this.
We understand all that, but the problem that I'm having is, and they said 300 feet. The information we have is the closest store is 220 feet away, and they have some natural wines. Now, while they don't specialize in them, I question why I would need maybe 100 more SKUs of natural wines, or 200 or whatever you're going to carry, 220 feet from another liquor store. I mean, that's 100 steps.
I understand that 100%. I live in the South Wedge. I've lived in the South Wedge for 5 years. I shop at Time for Wine. My wife shops at Time for Wine. And my intention with being a resident of the South Wedge was that this location was perfect for me. And I felt that Time for Wine was a place that I can recommend people that are looking for something a little more conventional. 14 SKUs of first of all, organic wine is not natural wine. Organic wine is organic wine. Natural wine takes organic to a whole new level. It's supporting biodynamic agriculture. It's supporting clean, low production winemaking techniques. There is a huge world of these wines. 14 SKUs is a fraction of what is available for consumers to be able to explore and evolve their palates. So I truly believe that 14 SKUs, and I've been in for Time for Wine, and I love the store, but I feel as if I've never bought a bottle of natural wine there, and I would love to just be able to take what's happening in the natural wine world and really focus on it in depth, and allow people to learn more about this.
And Chairman Braley, just to add one brief interjection here to your comment regarding the status of the natural wine world. There's a letter of support here from Zev Rovine Selections, which
now we're familiar with the natural wine world. It's been in New York City much more expansively than it is in Rochester for probably long before I ever sat here.
Absolutely.
But the letter here, I think, speaks to your concern, which Zev Rovine is the largest U.S. importer of natural wines, and they cite here that they have virtually no presence in the Rochester area and are only sold in 3 off-premises accounts.
And there's two arguments. There's 2 arguments that can be made for that. One of the arguments, which is the one I tend to go with, is they're not in the Rochester area because people in the Rochester area are not buying them. The other argument is that the people in the Rochester area don't know about them. But I find it hard to believe that if you're a wine connoisseur, at this point you don't know about natural wines no matter where you live.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, sir. I agree with you. But Zevravine is represented in Rochester. There are 7 or 8 restaurants in Rochester that are strictly focusing on natural wine, and they do well. And
I'm sure that is. I just don't know whether that's going to support a liquor store. But
Well,
that's my concern. I'm ready to vote. I don't know whether they have any more questions.
Yeah.
The one question I do have is all this money appears to be, as an investment, appears to be coming from your wife. Who's next to you there, by the way? Oh, that's your
Consultant Robert Heil.
Okay, so all the money appears to be coming from your wife. Is that correct?
Our initial startup loan came from my wife. Yes, sir.
And then she took a loan from American Express in order to supply those funds?
No. She took out a personal loan and qualified for an American Express card. And since then, we've worked with our local credit union right down the street from us, Genesee Co-op, which we were approved for a business loan from there. And so
Okay.
we were working with our local community bank to make this dream a reality for us.
Okay.
Sure, Van, are you ready to vote?
I suggest that we take a short break.
Yeah, can we take 2 minutes to talk with council?
We're gonna go on a short recess to conference with council.
Thank you.
Okay.
Back on the record after a brief conference with council. Ready to vote?
Yeah.
Commissioner Vance?
I just think this is too close to the other store, so I'm gonna vote to deny.
Sure.
It's like a 5 or 6 iron away. It's right down the street. And I don't look at the numbers. I look at the numbers and I just don't see there really being a need for another store right here in this area. I think you have a great concept and all. I just don't think that this is the location. So I'm going to vote to deny as well.
Chairman Bradley?
I'm going to vote to deny as well. I understand what you're doing, and I think that readily you would get a store if you weren't 200 feet from another store in an area that it looks like the demand is being served at this time. But I don't see any public convenience and advantage, particularly when that store already has some organic or natural wine. Or I guess you said they have no natural wine, but they certainly have organic. And I'm sure could get natural wine if somebody asked for it. So I don't see any public convenience and advantage.
All right, Ryan, do we have any other matters? Buffalo?
Thank you.
No, there's
Thank you.
nobody else.
All right, I guess leave it up for a little bit, just in case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So moving to Albany, we have agenda number 322. That's SJ Food Mart Inc.
Back to back. 322?
322.
Yeah, SJ Food Mart, warehouse permit.
Okay.
How far is this warehouse from your store?
About 10 minutes drive, maybe 15.
Why did you wait? Why wouldn't you apply for both at the same time?
I never know that it's going to do that good. And
Well, you've only been open for how many months? 5? Well, now 7?
no, not even 7. Yeah, about like 6 months.
Well, you sent this application in November, so when you sent it in, you were only open.
Oh, yeah. We have a difficult time for getting the delivery on time, and the store is small, so we didn't.
Okay. Why is this here, Donald? Because of the size?
You're adding, under that advisory, you're
Yeah.
essentially adding, you know,
Right,
Okay.
we put out that bait and switch advisory, which allows you to treat this as a public convenience and advantage question if you want to, but that, we really think that was really contemplated.
But this is not connected to the
Not
store, so.
connected where.
Okay.
How about to
We'll
approve?
vote.
Commercial report.
Approved.
I'll approve as well. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next is 318, ARIYAH'S Inc. I believe, did someone sign in for this in New York City? Did you expect anyone in New York City?
Yeah, Philip Zuby.
Okay. Yeah.
Who?
Philip Zuby.
Yes, I'm Phil Zudi, and I'm in New York City, signed in for this application.
You have to have still wear masks in here soon?
Which one is
No,
that?
but.
318.
Oh, just 318. Oh, no, the mayor said you do, yes. Changes every day, I like it.
I know.
I just wear my mask no matter what.
Okay, go ahead.
You ready for me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. This is ARIYAH Inc., a grocery store application in a small gas station grocery store in Syracuse. You disapproved our application, and I requested that you reconsider it. And the disapproval was based on the fact that the applicant, Harjinder Singh's employment history showed him working at the location he was applying for. And the people that were there prior to him had a bad record of some kind. I'm not familiar with what it was, but I think it was an availing, where you had one guy on the license and 2 actually owned it. The truth is that he never worked at that location before. The employment history was misstated in the application by me.
Okay.
Actually, it was a stupid mistake.
How did you
And
get the
I-
impression that he worked at a place that you're telling us now he never
Okay,
worked at?
Yeah, right. I was reviewing the application to send it in for filing. I realized there was a gap in his employment history. I got him on the phone and said, "Where did you work before you worked in your mother's liquor store?" Okay. He kept saying, "I worked for the Singh family." Now, I had papers there. I looked down and I see the Singh Family, Inc. was licensed at this location, and I misinterpreted what he said. If you look at the application papers, I don't have him working for the bad people, Fly and Fill or Fill and Fly, something like that. I was Singh Family, Inc. What he meant was he worked for his family. His name is Singh also. He worked at a different location entirely, 2008 South Avenue in Syracuse. He worked there for 3 different licensees, all family.
As convoluted as this sounds, the Singh Family Corp was not operating that place when it had trouble. So even if he did work there, the reasons
He never
that we
worked there.
adopted, even if he did, even if he had, say, the reasons that we denied would not have been accurate.
All right.
All right,
All right, I'm going to vote yes on reconsideration and vote yes on the application.
Thank you.
Sorry for the trouble.
It was my fault.
don't worry, we're letting you take the rap here. I'm gonna vote, yes, on reconsideration and approval as well.
And I'll do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, just to make sure that you review the applications going forward with your clients.
I'm too old for this stuff.
Well, then don't send any more in then, one or the other. Either have your
I'm
clients review what you do or
seriously
stop
considering
doing them.
You'll get an email.
Well, I don't make too many mistakes, but when I do, it's a winner.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you created a lot of work for not just us, but for yourself.
Right.
Not to mention.
It's
your-
all right,
Not
don't
to mention
worry.
your client's delay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that was the last Zone 2 Albany matter. Moving on to the Zone 1.
Can we just go with the record to address that housekeeping issue first?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna go on a brief recess. We'll be back on the record. We're back on the record after a brief recess. So the next item is 385. That's the Wine Line LLC. You opposition or not?
3 what?
85.
385.
Do you have some opposition?
Is the applicant there?
Yeah. Yeah, come up, put your name on the record.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Chairman and members. Patrick DeLuca for the Wine Line with my client, Tom Milana. He's the majority stockholder.
I guess since it's a request for reconsideration, correct? So we just need the applicant right now.
We should start, yeah.
Yeah, start with the applicant. You guys can sit down.
Good morning. We're here to request a reconsideration of the disapproval of September 15th. The disapproval was primarily, it stated that the Village of Oyster Bay was basically not a viable location for another liquor store. So the issue was whether or not Oyster Bay could sustain it. We've submitted a lot of letters in support because Oyster Bay is in the middle of a revitalization program right now. That's supported by all the letters that we gave you. And the other issue was the closest stores. And those stores are completely different than what the Wine Line wants to be. We submitted a long written presentation from the applicants because it would be easier for you to see it that way than for us to try to fit everything they wanted to say in the 5 minutes allocated. We're here to answer any questions that you might have.
I just like to say that the characterization of the basis for the decision is not complete. There's another major factor in the decision was how close the closest store was. Yeah,
Right.
they were right next to each other.
500 feet,
Right.
Yeah.
around 500 feet.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
around the-
see anything, I don't see anything different here. What's different? Except that
what's
you gave me
different
more
is-
paper.
Well, what's different is that the first appearance, we were told in the disapproval that there was no drive-through traffic and that there was no, and there is drive-through traffic and there is destination traffic because the location, Oyster Bay Village, is going through a tremendous revitalization program. And we submitted, I believe it's close to a dozen letters from the local politicians and the community organizations, state senators, many people that are very aware of the revitalization. And we, as a matter of fact, coincidentally, while we were preparing the reconsideration, Newsday came out with a full part 2 on the revitalization of Oyster Bay.
Mr. DeLuca, I agree with counsel. You are mischaracterizing the written decision because I just read it. And the written decision, you made the argument about the revitalization, and I'm sure it's beautiful. We don't question that. But there is already a store 500 feet from there that is going to be part of that revitalization, I would presume. And the other part that's written in the written decision is that there's no evidence even with this revitalization that there's any growth in the population.
There's a lot of growth in the business community itself, including 14 new restaurants. And our issue with the existing store, VSN, was not that, VNS, was not that it wasn't part of that. It's that they sell an entirely different line of products than my client wants to sell. It really, they assume that we feel that their base sale would be in the $40 range. My client wants to sell things that nothing that the other place sells. That's why they picked a smaller location. An 1,100-foot store would not sustain a regular package store. It would never sell enough to do that. we represent no threat whatsoever to the other liquor store because.
We're not worried, yeah, and you know this as well as I do, we're not worried about a threat to another package store. We're worried about whether, we typically do not put them this close because it doesn't serve any more public convenience and advantage by having one 500 feet away when there's no population growth and no increase in demand, and we don't have either of that here.
Most of the input that we got
I'm sure
on the social media.
your client would be a great owner, but he's surrounded by liquor stores in the area he wants to go to that are already serving the community.
The two closest ones tend to carry the same exact products, which is more traditional items. And honestly, my client has no interest in selling any of that.
You keep saying that, but we have no evidence of what he is going to sell.
Yes, they gave you in the first application, it was over 500 SKUs of the items that they wanted to sell.
Well, that being said, I don't see any, I'm with Commissioner Fan, I don't see anything different here. I mean, I was fully aware, and you made me fully aware of the revitalization going on in Oyster Bay last time. And all of these arguments we considered last time. I don't see anything new here.
Yeah, you're going in circles here. It says here that they want to actually do online business, but then they just want to park the store in Oyster Bay. So you kind of can't argue both sides.
Well,
I'm not. I'm going to
Does
vote
it matter
no.
that, can I say something? Does it matter that we parked the store in Oyster Bay because all of the local town and officials wanted and asked me to put this store there? The two stores that I am surrounded by are old, stagnant stores. The store, both of them don't even have a website, and we're in the 21st century. I'm not looking to sell fifths, and like this store does. The other store, while it's only 500 feet away, it's off the beaten path. I am right smack in the middle of Audrey Avenue, which is at the center of the hamlet of Oyster Bay. So I clearly understand what you're stating, but we represent no threat. I could have opened this store in the middle of nowhere. I was asked by the town and the chamber and the Main Street Association that please open this store here. We think this would be great for our town. And, I did that based on the want of the people. We put up a petition. We had 1,500 people sign it. Our competition put up a petition against us, and they had to take it down because of all the negative comments. We submitted an example of a woman saying that I have to leave Oyster Bay to buy my alcohol because you own both stores in town and you're too expensive. So we're just trying to.
How do they own both stores in town?
It's public belief that the same family, different members of the family own.
Oh, well, that's legal.
Yeah.
It's totally legal. I understand that, but like I said, we try to do what the people are asking for, and we submitted.
Okay.
I think
I understand what you're saying, but the things that we have to look at, in my view at least, all went against you the first time, and I haven't seen anything that's going to change my mind and make me reconsider here. So I'm going to vote no to reconsideration as well.
Let me just say this. What's new about this is all the letters of support that you have from local officials. And you say they wanted it, but all these letters of support were not in your original filing. They're all dated after we denied it. So they didn't make the case before.
So there was a few in there.
So now, after we deny it, and we all have all these letters of support. So I don't know that I believe that they came to you for it. But aside from that, I still don't see anything that would justify us overturning our decision. So I'm going to deny reconsideration. Sticking with our original decision.
Reconsideration's been denied.
So,
Forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is 387. It's a request for reconsideration of a declaratory ruling.
What'd you call it? Declaratory?
I have a hard time saying it too.
It's 225. 231 West 4th Street.
It's better than the old Crunch pronunciation you used to get.
I believe was the person who requested reconsideration here?
Yes. Yes, my name is Barry Mallon. I'm here on behalf of the 233 West 4th Street Tenant Association. And we did submit the letter for reconsideration. The letter spells out the reasons for our objections. By the way, I'm here with the president of the association as well, who wants to speak. But in essence, what we're saying here is that, in essence, what we're saying here is that the, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. What we're saying here is that the original declaratory ruling is beyond what the statute permits. There has to be a continuous license, and that's what the statute says, continuous license in existence. The last license here was in August of 2017.
But
And that's
Mr. Mountain, and before you go into all that, because we're familiar with what the statute says, you're aware that we have interpreted that differently over the course, not just me, it's been happening for over a decade.
I understand that, and in those other cases, there was a much shorter period of time involved. There were other factors, such as a hurricane in one case, and other kinds of factors beyond the control of the applicant. We don't have that.
You don't think COVID is a factor?
There were 2.5 years before we got to COVID in this case. They
So
closed down.
you're fine with us eliminating the 2 years with COVID, but not the 2.5 years prior to that?
I submit that since that was out of the control of the applicants, the argument is there, although the statute doesn't call for that. But certainly the period before that, the 2.5 years from August 2017 to the shutdown because of COVID, is not a continuous license in existence. There was no license there. Historically, grandfathering was done to protect those in place so they would not be blindsided by a new law coming into effect. But here we don't have, the license chain ended in August 2017. We have 2.5 years spanning that. And what happens here is we have the burden of proof switched. We have the presumption of proof from the 500-foot rule that you must show the public interest to one in which the SLA basically has to grant this license. And we don't see that at all in the statute. There's no exemption written into the statute. And I understand the authority's position that in certain cases, such as a pandemic or a hurricane, that those kinds of situations, the argument exists.
Well, no, I realize you're pointing out events that occurred, but even since I've been here, this board has done this, has extended or defined continuous without a specific event occurring.
Well, I take objection, certainly for 2.5 years.
Well, I recognize you take objection to that, but it has occurred. So, I mean, you're mischaracterizing what we've done.
Well, certainly in those cases, it's been a much shorter period of time. Here we have 2.5
that may be true.
And here we have 2.5 years until COVID shutdown took effect. And I think what we're doing here is undermining the 500-foot rule statute that permits the community to weigh in on these cases. And for a 2.5-year period to rule in that way, I think is against the statutory intent here of what the legislature decided to allow communities to have input in these cases. And this gives the applicant a chance to do an end run around the 500-foot rule. We're not saying that there shouldn't be a license granted here. We're just saying that the community should have some input here. There have been 6 new licenses granted since August 2017. Conditions in the community change, and the community board should have a chance to weigh in on these conditions, what is happening now in the area, in the community, and at least give them that opportunity, as the statute does require that.
Are you representing the community board?
No, I am representing a tenant association that will be directly affected by
Are they
this,
there? Is the community board there?
Community board is not here today.
So the 500-foot law was geared towards, at least in New York City, towards the community boards, and we have no objection about this from the community board.
I cannot say what their position is. There was, as you will hear from the tenant association, the community board did hear this case, and they did rule.
All
they did
I'm
recommend
asking you
denial
is,
of the
we don't
license.
have anything, in our record from the community board on this issue.
In fairness, sir, you're confusing the declaratory ruling with the case of a particular applicant. The community board, I don't believe, to my knowledge, had any hearings about whether or not there should be grandfathering here. And they have not taken a position in this.
Not that issue, but they did, this applicant did appear before the community board.
Yeah, but we don't have an application before us, so that may have happened, but it's not really relevant here.
The community board did not weigh in either at the point that this declaratory ruling first came up or on your reconsideration. We have not heard.
I just find that somewhat ironic, to be honest with you, but.
I also do want to say, just for the record, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but Mr. Bernstein, who represented the client who made the initial request, put in a written submission and informed me that he wasn't coming. I don't believe he's there.
He's right there.
Oh, he is?
He is here.
There he is. Okay, then I was going to comment for the board on two of the points that he made, but I'll allow him to speak for himself.
All right, well.
Okay, I think we got it, Mr. Allen.
All right, well, we have the president of the tenant association would like to say something.
No, you're representing them. We don't need to hear from all of them, but please have them put their names on the record.
Thank you.
Well, on the record, my name is Leslie Clark, and I'm the president of the 233 West 4th Street Tenants Association. I'm directly impacted by this location, directly.
Thank you.
And this is the building, ma'am?
Ma'am?
This is the building right next to the one-story building where this restaurant may be? Is that right?
No, yes, it is next door to it. I can hear through the windows, and I can see the side tables on this place directly from my building. Yes, directly.
Okay, and how many units are in your building?
8. And there's another one next door that also has 8.
How long have you lived there, ma'am?
I've lived here for 46 years.
Was the Riviera Cafe really a disturbance to you?
It was not, the Riviera Cafe itself was not a disturbance to me. However, I believe that this location, if any location deserves a 500-foot hearing, this one does. There are 31 other licenses nearby and 8 more that are pending. So this area is super saturated. We live with an abundance of bars and restaurants, and this particular applicant has a very bad history, and the fact is this application was going forward. I was the person who received.
We don't even know who the applicant is. Ma'am, I understand all that, but to be honest with you, no one here knows who the applicant is at this point, so we can't even consider that.
It's also not material because
I mean, I haven't seen the application. I don't even know if we got it.
the factors relating to the applicant's history would be before the board whether it's a 500-foot case or not. So it's really not material to this.
The fact is, my objection is that there is a very different burden of proof with a 500-foot or without.
Yeah.
With a 500-foot, the burden is upon the applicant.
We
Otherwise,
already
it's
heard
upon
that.
you.
Ma'am, we heard that from your
Thank
lawyer.
you.
I'm trying to avoid just
Okay, thank you.
redoing things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, when you come up, just put your name and address on the, or whatever, if you live next door, whatever, on the record. Is there anyone else there? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bernstein.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Donald Bernstein on behalf of the to-be applicant. I'll be very brief. I think that there are no new facts or circumstances that are raised in this request for reconsideration. There was a license there for nearly 40 years. I think that if you read the authorities, your declaratory ruling, which was just issued on January 26th, You looked at both the absence of an intervening use in the pre-COVID period, which was a little over 2 years, and then took into account the unusual impact of COVID to allow this to be grandfathered. As you stated, Mr. Chairman, there are declaratory rulings going back to at least 11 years on this. Some of them involve unusual circumstances, some of them do not. There was a ruling in 2016 that had a 2.5-year gap. There were no special circumstances. It was just that's what the gap was. I cited others with a 2-year gap, with over a 3-year gap, and we just don't think that there have been any circumstances set forth in this request for ruling to change the facts. The board was fully aware of the gap, fully aware of everything, and made a knowing, unanimous determination based upon that. So we request that the request for reconsideration be denied, and if it is granted, that you adhere to the ruling, which is consistent to over 11 years of rulings. I think effectively Mr. Malin is asking you to upend all of the rulings previously made on this point. My final point is that the grandfather provision is not intended to protect a licensee. It is entitled to afford protection to the premises, and the statute uses the word premises, not licensee. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
You mentioned there's a case where there was a 2.5-year gap that had no special circumstances in it. Which case was that?
2016-02648. A license was canceled in March of 2014, and I believe a ruling was issued in January of 2017.
And you're saying that there was no, well, it's 2016-2648? I'll take a look at it. Thank you.
2648, yes. And, as I mentioned in my submission, there was over a 2-year gap for a gut renovation in 2021-0211, and a 3-year gap in 2015-00986, although that was a 200-foot rule matter, but the same analysis was employed.
Right, and there were special circumstances in those 2 other cases, right?
That is correct, yes.
Members vote on whether to grant reconsideration.
I just wanted to state for the record that Mr. Bernstein submitted a written submission in which he questioned whether or not the requester had standing to seek reconsideration or whether the board could reconsider a declaratory ruling. I don't see any restriction based on my reading of the law, which says that any person who's affected can seek a declaratory ruling. They could seek one. I don't see why they couldn't seek reconsideration. And as far as whether a declaratory ruling could be reconsidered, that seems to be a pretty kind of stringent rule. If they couldn't be reconsidered at all, then you couldn't reconsider it to address a typographical error either. So I don't know that those arguments are weighty.
I have that ruling pulled up, and just if you want the last paragraph of it, the members reference the fact that given the short period of time that no license has been in effect, that the premises has not been used for any other purpose, and that the premises is being renovated to be used again as a licensed premises. Those are the reasons why.
So you're right.
Okay.
Commissioner Van, you ready?
I don't know, what do you want to do?
I don't know. I was going to see what you did.
May I add one more statement?
Yeah.
I don't think that the statement by the block association or the building is relevant at all to this issue. I don't think that this determination can be made on a claim that it's a good applicant or a bad applicant.
It's not,
or
Mr.
they
Bernstein,
have
you don't need to go down that road. I've already indicated that we do not have even the application in front of us. I have absolutely no information on who the applicant is or what their history is, and no one else here does either.
And they would still have to come before us, so it's not a fait accompli.
Absolutely, no question.
From the standpoint of the premises, if we really
ready anytime you are. Or do you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you go first.
All right. I'm going to vote to deny reconsideration, and I'm going to stick with our original decision. The place that was there before was there for like 45 years. And I think the license was due to expire, what, in 2019 anyway, is that correct?
Yes.
So,
End of February.
so I don't think the gap, if you factor in COVID and everything else, I don't think that the gap is as long as it would have been otherwise. So I'm voting to deny reconsideration.
And I'm gonna go with Commissioner Ford. I'm gonna vote to deny it as well.
I would grant reconsideration, but it's denied. Thank you. Thank you.
Next is 319. That's Freedom Cups LLC.
Which one again? Sorry.
319.
Hello, Commissioner. I'm Michael Polesny. I'm the owner-manager of Three of Cups Restaurant.
And I'm Santo Vicencino, co-owner.
Is the community board or any opposition there?
No, there's no opposition.
There is opposition, written opposition that we received from the community board. Go ahead.
We're happy to respond to the opposition.
Well, I don't know that you can. They don't want you there. So how do you respond to that? Are you open already without alcohol?
Yeah, we're open already without alcohol.
We're a bistro.
We are a bistro. I'm a 30-year resident of that neighborhood, so this is my third place. You guys have granted me 2 other licenses before. We are a family-run local eatery. The wine and beer is meant to complement food. The community board misrepresented our intentions by saying that we were going to have TV sets and present soccer games. We are not a sports bar. We have no TV set. The wine is meant to complement our farm-to-table food menu. The contestations on that application are nonsensical to me. They're asking, their requests, were to downsize our seating arrangements on the inside.
Well, you're familiar what street and neighborhood you're in, right?
Yeah, I live a block.
Well, then I don't know that I don't know that you should think that their requests are nonsensical, because this is based on my experience and anything applying on this street. It's pretty consistent.
Right, we're not a bar though, and we're not a sports bar. We're actually just
that doesn't matter. Typically, that doesn't matter to this community board.
Are you serving outside on the sidewalk now, or have you been?
No, none.
No, sir, you're talking about the seating we have on the street?
The open part of the open restaurant criteria?
Food.
Yes.
Right. This application has nothing, we don't seek to serve wine or beer outside.
Ever?
Maybe we'll amend the application down the line.
So you're not gonna put tables up in the open restaurant and serve the wine or beer out there?
Correct.
And you don't have any other outdoor space?
No. That neighborhood
Do you have
is
a
not
kitchen
zoned
in this?
sidewalk.
Is there a kitchen in this place?
There is, yes, it's upstairs, yeah. There's a full breakfast, lunch, brunch, and dinner menu, and it's all available for your viewing online. We're a food establishment. We're not,
What are your hours, planned hours?
We open presently we open at 8, and our planned hours are to open till to midnight.
Okay.
Upstairs is the ground floor of the premises. So the dining area and the kitchen are on the same track. And there's a food prep and storage in the basement.
And is the basement connected through the interior of the place, or do you have to go outside?
Outside. I presented photographs to you guys as to where.
The basement is being used for food prep and for storage, so that the alcoholic beverages will be on the ground floor.
Right.
Correct.
No one's going through the building.
So why does the community board think you guys refuse to close your outdoor seating at 10 PM if you have no outdoor seating?
Yeah, that was my question. Which is why I asked you about outdoor seating.
Right. What I had just said was we're serving food in our open restaurant criteria during the pandemic, obviously, outside, but this application pending does not seek outdoor use for wine and beer at all.
Got it. Okay.
So you're not going to serve wine and beer in that open restaurant area?
Exactly.
Why?
We may seek for an amendment down the line. The reason why I'm here now, we had already submitted an amendment, but I revoked it because the community board said it would be 3 months before we can get a meeting with them again. And we're on the verge, you know, obviously we're
Okay,
struggling.
I'm ready.
So how many seats are actually in your open restaurant service area right now?
On the application, it says 42, but there's actually 38.
There are 30 seats outside on the sidewalk right now.
Outside is 16.
Yes. It's
That's
15 outside. Is that
16.
16
yeah.
outside? Is
Right,
that inclusive in your 38 number, or it's 38 plus 16?
It's 38 plus 16.
Okay.
But the 16,
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Who's working there?
I am.
You guys are all working there? You're
Yeah.
still teaching at the college?
I am, yeah. I teach remotely.
You teach remotely.
My-
And Santo,
yeah.
you're,
I help out on the weekends and outside of office hours.
But I live
Okay.
1 block away and I'm on premises all the time. I teach remotely because I teach asynchronously for City University for the past 12 years. So I could do my work from the restaurant.
all right, thank you for your service. All right, I'm gonna vote to approve midnight across the board, recorded music only, no private events, no promoters, no security, principals to manage.
That's agreed. Thank you.
And Commissioner Ford?
I'm going to vote to approve under the same terms, except no outdoor service.
Right.
Chairman Bradley?
I'm going to approve under the same condition.
So, Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes,
No
please.
outdoor?
So if you are going to come back for outdoor service, please go to them first, just so we don't have to send you back there, even if they don't agree with you. At least we'll have it all in writing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you very
board.
much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You mean not even for the,
No, they can do open table, just no.
No alcohol out
No
there.
alcohol.
They didn't ask for alcohol out there.
That's not licensed anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it's not licensed.
Yeah. You're fine.
Thank you.
Even restrict what the city's gonna make them.
Yes.
Well, I think the city, when they do, this is going to end. I think when they do it permanently, it's going to be 10 PM, isn't it? Isn't that what they're talking about, Commissioner Fan?
next is,
I mean, technically, it's illegal under state law right now.
365,
That's a joke.
366, and 367. That's 566 Nostrand Avenue.
Nobody here?
Good morning, Mark Weinstein for the corporate applicant, Michael Franklin.
Mr. Weinstein, you're representing this corporation, plus you're representing the individual that we're alleged, or that we, yeah, I guess in this case, no, already, I guess the ALJ established is availing the license. There's a conflict there.
I'm not representing Mr. LeBoy for this particular hearing.
Are you representing him in any way, shape, or form with liquor license matters?
I have on separate, yes, of course. Absolutely.
I don't. You have a problem with that?
I don't think we can stop him from talking because he's got a hopeless conflict. That's between him and his ethics committee.
Okay.
But,
All right. Go ahead then. If your client, I'm just making your client aware of it. There's a clear conflict to me here. But go ahead.
Yes, well, we believe that this license should not be revoked. I submitted a statement of contravention to the Liquor Authority. I hope that that had all been reviewed. In fact, talking about a corporate change application, Mr. LeBoy had made lawfully a corporate change application. On the day he was denied, the Liquor Authority commissioned an investigation into this establishment. The evidence at the hearing had showed that this establishment, rather than actually being a focal point, was in a particularly difficult area of the 79th precinct where the Brooklyn DA had issued a press release, and it announced an indictment on 25 individuals that were part of the Hooli gang. So the idea that this is somehow a focal point in the community is a misnomer. This is not a strip club.
Whoa, can I stop you there? Were you there for the police department testimony?
Yeah, I was.
Did you read the ALJ's decision?
Actually, that police officer, Chairman, if you read it as well, he had ordered my client to shut down at 3:30 and shut the music down at 3:30 when they were lawfully permitted to be open at 4 o'clock.
My question is more geared to the extensive number of dates that the police had interaction with this licensed premise over the course of less than a 12-month period.
This is also a police officer who had been established by the CCRB of assaulting a black male, of which my client happens to be.
Well, to my knowledge, he's not the only police officer that was at this location. It sounds like there was a team of them there.
This police officer was the chief witness for the SLA and testified on behalf of the SLA, and his testimony was completely discredited.
I don't agree. I don't agree that it was discredited, and I also don't agree that he was the chief witness. We have SLA investigators. We have members of the Vice team who also testified as Spataro, who has done significant number of cases with this agency before and been found very credible. But you can have your own view, obviously.
Well, asking a licensee to close at 3:30 and stop music at 3:30 in direct contravention of their license, I would think discredits his testimony.
How?
I would also think
that means he didn't see what he said he saw?
It's unlawful.
Multiple people who died at this premise, and you're arguing for 30 minutes? I think you're missing the point of the problem of this establishment.
But it tells you where they're coming from. It tells you exactly where they're coming from.
They're coming from an area that people are dying. And so they found this to be one of the problems causing why people are getting hurt, which is what their job is.
After the indictment, once the Hooli game has gotten taken down, it has not have been any more problems on my location.
Have you been there? Because it seems prior to that you were never there.
I'm always there.
He's always there. He wasn't there on Valentine's Day. He got there late on Valentine's Day.
I was out with my significant other.
He was out with his significant other.
Just like your chef.
Okay.
Were there still stripper poles there after that? After you got?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Weinstein, you're not even dealing with that the community board thought they were opening what would be led to believe an upscale nightclub. I went on the Instagram site. That's not what you sold to the community board. There's no question whether you did it or somebody else before you. But that is not what they were told was going to be there. That's clear.
There is no stripping. There's no lap dances. There is none of that activity. And in fact, the investigation said that.
How would you? Well, so did anyone describe to the community board that there would be young ladies in thong bikinis behind the bar doing sexually orientated dances so that dollar bills were thrown at them? Was that described to the community board? Because that's what's all over the social media. And that's what the police officers saw.
That was not described to the community board. What was described to the community board was that
why don't you describe that to me as you would to the community board? What would you call that?
I would call this a nightclub with women
No.
that are dressed
We're
provocative.
going to stick to the dancing. What would you call the dancing?
Provocative dancing. That's what I would call it.
Encouraging patrons to throw dollar bills at them.
That is
piles
provocative,
of
that
dollar
is
bills.
provocative dancing.
Which you just acknowledged
That's
was
not
never explained to the community board and certainly not on any part of your application.
It was explained to the community board that this was going to be a nightclub. And nightclubs, by definition, have a certain provocation with persons that work there. And we were very consistent with that.
You weren't even
This does
consistent that you weren't even consistent that employees would be dancing. You didn't mention that.
To the board.
To us or the community board. This was something that was, and the community board called it a classic bait and switch. And I don't always agree with the community board, but I don't know what else to call this. We were absolutely misrepresented by this application. They were misrepresented. And then the reason we do what we do up here and ask all these questions is so exactly what occurred at this place doesn't occur. That people don't get hurt, and a lot of people got hurt here.
I think that's a mischaracterization, respectfully.
Okay.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree.
Nobody. Nobody got hurt inside of my establishment ever. There was one random act of violence, which would have happened anywhere. Somebody came from another location. As they were walking up, it was a assassination on him. It would have happened at a park. It would have happened at McDonald's if that gentleman was going there that night.
And what did you guys do? You propped them up against the wall and didn't call the police?
Absolutely not. We called 911.
No, we don't have any evidence of a 911 call, do we?
No.
Yes, we.
We had a guy getting stabbed as he's walking out of your place. Your security guard propped him up against the wall and waited for the ambulance.
That's right.
He was shot. He was not stabbed. It was an assassination. The
Excuse
so
me.
obvious.
I do believe there was another stabbing, though. There was
Another stabbing. Yeah.
There was a stabbing.
All right,
You have the
I
hooligan
don't.
gang. You have the hooligan.
I mean, I don't know what I don't know what you expect us to do here. I don't have any. I mean, this guy. The evidence all points to the fact that he basically gave over running this place to somebody else. That person then ran it. He ran it in a manner that was completely completely different than what was represented to us and to the community board that you've already acknowledged was different.
The person that they're accusing of even running my establishment hasn't lived in New York in years.
Doesn't even live in New York.
His signature was all over all the documents that would indicate that you're the owner of the place, that he's the owner of the place. All right.
No, the only signature.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
I have nothing else I want to add except that I don't think that this license should be revoked.
Okay.
Are the members ready to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Van?
I'm at revoke and bond.
Commissioner Ford?
Yeah, I think this is not a good place. I'm at revoke and bond as well.
Chairman Brown?
And I'm at revoke and bond as well. Sustain all of the charges in the first proceeding, dismiss the charges in the second proceeding, sustain 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 15, 16, 19, 21 through 20, I'm sorry, 21, 22, 25, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. That's a lot for 2 years or 3 years.
And 2 of it in COVID.
It's a lot when you have the whole 79th precinct coming out there to investigate.
Well,
Well, they did their job. In my mind, when people get hurt, police should show up, and that's what happened.
Absolutely, I don't disagree with you, but police should not show up and tell you if you don't close your doors at 3:30, you're gonna get a summons, and I'm gonna come back and keep giving you summonses. That's not fair to me. I'm a working class citizen.
And threatening to say, hey, you better make your money while you can. In 3 months, you're going to be shut down. And that's exactly what that police officer said to my client.
To this day, he still comes and threatens us. That's not fair.
Make the decision.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next item is 386. That's SALL Restaurant and Lounge LLC.
Thomas Burke from the law office of Stacy Weiss. Can I ask for a second call? My client has been delayed.
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you.
Next item is 317, that's Black Roses Wine and Spirits Inc.
Okay. Hi, Glenn Wright for the applicant, and with me is Vanetta Grinald, one of the principals. We're here on a reconsideration, and the basis in broad strokes of the reconsideration is that it's now going to be an open floor plan. She came up with this method of operation in the fall of 2020, during the pandemic, where there were very few people on the streets. She thought it might be wise to have a bulletproof store. After the denial of the bulletproof store, she looked into the other stores and determined that she would operate an open floor plan. We've submitted the new diagram with the request for reconsideration. In addition, with the store, the current method of operation, she will be doing takeout and delivery. She has informed me that none of the 4 other liquor stores do that. That would be another benefit to the community. Also, as far as being an open floor, as far as being
No, takeout and delivery.
Takeout and delivery.
Oh, I see.
Also, she tells me that 2 of the nearest 4 stores are not, a typical open floor plan. They have a couple of items out on display and then a huge stock of those few items behind the counter. And people look at them and they generally pick up the items at the cash register. I would submit that plan does not give consumers a very big selection. There's no way logistically it could. She plans on opening up a more traditional open floor plan store. As far as the other liquor stores, she believes she is more in line with the demographic of the neighborhood than at least 2 of the stores. The neighborhood has increased. I submitted that on my original memorandum and application, that the income has increased, the population has slightly increased. I think that's another reason that an open floor plan would work here. The store will be on a major thoroughfare, Flatlands Avenue, as you know from the original application. There is a lot of traffic. All of the other stores are also on major thoroughfares, so I think that likewise Flatlands should have one, and they seem to have different shopping districts as far as in this area. Each avenue is its own independent shopping district. She has submitted an inventory of some of the things that she wants to sell. There was in the decision a reference to that it wasn't clear what items she would be showing, and she has attached that. Out of the other liquor stores, I think 2 have increasing, one didn't respond, but 2 have increasing sales. And you referenced that in your decision, but I would point out that one of the nearest 4 liquor stores has a 400% increase. And I admittedly, I understand some of that could be due to the pandemic, but it's still an extraordinary increase. So yes, there have been some
Isn't that one of the stores that just opened? That we just opened?
Brooklyn
That was
Estates.
like-
I believe that was 2019.
2017. when she
2017.
talked about it.
Yeah, so it went up
Yeah.
in 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, but the one that was just licensed was licensed in 2020. So about 18 months ago.
And what were the sales?
Okay, is there any opposition? Oh, we don't need to hear, I guess we first vote on rather than recount. Go ahead. Yeah.
The members are ready to vote.
I vote yes on reconsideration.
That's just
I don't see any reason why I would change my vote, so I'm voting no on consideration.
I'm going to vote no on reconsideration as well. I don't see any, other than the fact that she's now offered to be an open store, which presumably is because she got denied not being an open store. I don't see any other changes in information. We denied a store, an open store, 1 block from this location 6 months ago, so I don't know that, I know my vote would not change either, so I'm voting for deny reconsideration.
Said before, fine applicant, just wrong location.
Next item is 393, that's GADFLY Lounge LLC.
Good morning, Frank Palillo. There was opposition. I'll step aside.
See, you have to trust me. I told you that was going to happen faster than you think, Frank.
You called the commissioner.
Here again, my name is Barry Mallon. This time I'm representing the West 15th Street Block Association. And yes, we are back here again. The Community Board has rendered a recommendation here for limited hours. However, the Block Association has not wavered in its opposition to this license in its entirety. This is still a residential street. There are no other licensed premises on this block. There are 27 within 500 feet, which is 9 times the legal limit. So what we're saying here is that we're still compelled to follow the 500-foot rule law and establish, or the applicant must establish, why it's in the public interest to have a sole licensed premises on this residential street when there are no others on this same street. Where is the public interest here?
Did you ask the community, Mr. Mallon, did you ask the community board where they found the public interest? Because they clearly must have.
Statements were made at the community board. I have not heard what their expression of public interest has been. Yes, we did, in fact, make that question to the community board. And this is still limited hours here. Do not answer the question of why it's in the public interest. Limited hours still do not help young children living next door to this bar, seniors, working families. We still have the issue of where's the public interest in eroding what is now a residential oasis. General economic benefit is not sufficient. This was rejected by the courts more than 20 years ago in the case involving 72 Grand Street. And so we're saying here that there has to be an articulation of why this particular license, where there are 27 others within 500 feet, is a public interest to this community on a residential block, which is a non-conforming use, and for which I have not heard any other articulation of why this is in the public interest at this particular spot. So what we're saying here that we still have to follow the law as to what are the grounds for public interest here. And I have not seen anybody articulate those grounds. I have here the president of the Block Association, as well as 2 other residents who would like to speak in opposition as well.
Can I just, before the next...
No, and before you do, Mr. Mallon, you represent this group. Therefore, you're speaking for them. If they want to speak for themselves, the only thing I would ask is they don't go get a lawyer to speak for them and then ask to repeat everything you said. Because it wastes your time, it wastes the board's time. Now, we'll hear from them, but I don't want to see it happen again, please.
Right. Well, they're not repeating. They're giving you their personal experience as to what happened at this location. They're not going to repeat the legal arguments.
I just wanted to point out for the record that we have many written submissions from neighbors who have articulated a public interest reason for putting a restaurant in this location. They're concerned about it being vacant. They're concerned about having another homogenized chain store enter into that space and have set forth a preference for having a small business a restaurant with responsible people operating in that.
And in their defense, we got just as much,
Yeah, but it's not.
just as many people telling us there is no public
Right,
interest.
but it's not as if there's been nothing said about why there would be a public interest in having a restaurant.
The applicant
All right,
has not
we'll hear from
put
your
anything on the
clients now.
record as to that.
We'll hear from your clients now.
Hi, I'm Steve Strawson. I'm with the West 15th Street Block Association. I want to thank you for taking into consideration the very serious impact a nightly bar with live music is going to have on our residential neighborhood. As you know, we've been down this road once before at this location. Pierre Lotte, a wine bar with a full liquor license, live music, outdoor tables, got everyone up in arms. No mitigating measures are going to change the fact that these premises are located in a 6th-floor walk-up surrounded by similar apartment buildings on a residentially zoned block. A bar with live music, open French doors, outdoor tables that operates within nightly hours absolutely will have an impact on existing noise levels. And there's a history at this location to prove that it does. At the GADFLY's 500-foot
But
hearing, the LJ
sir, just so you're clear, I don't think there's any history with us, though. Am I wrong about that?
No, we don't. We have no history.
Yeah, no history.
All right, go ahead.
What's your address, sir?
Where I live?
Yes.
Or 258 West 15th Street.
So you actually live in the building?
I'm 259, sorry, I'm at 259. Sorry.
So
we
you live across the street?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And did you live there when that business was there before?
I did, yes. That's how I got involved with my block association, was because
And
of...
it was a disturbance to you?
Correct.
Because of what?
Yes, it was. Noise, primarily.
And it was
They
people
had-
noise or music? It was people noise or music noise?
It was both. They had, at that time, they had illegal outdoor tables, and then they had music nights that were very loud. So all of that is what we went to the community board first to discuss.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
As you guys know, there are 27 liquor establishments already within 500 feet of these premises. At 1,500 feet, there are 181 liquor licenses, with 21 licenses pending. That means we could potentially have over 200 liquor licenses within a 5-block radius from our doorsteps. Chelsea doesn't need another bar. What we do need are businesses that really do serve the public interest. State Assembly Member Dick Gottfried and State Senator Brad Hoylman have written letters recommending this license be denied. The Council of Chelsea Block Associations that represents 20 BAs supports denial, as do the countless number of neighbors who have written letters and emails. A second liquor license will bring a permanent change to our residential block. As you know, there'll be no going back if that happens. Commissioners, we sincerely hope when making your decision today, you'll consider the oversaturation of licenses in our neighborhood and the impact that noise from this proposed bar would have on our homes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kathy Curtis, and I'm a 5-decade resident on this block directly across the street from this establishment, and I too have been impacted by. Okay, so the noise.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The noise is incredibly loud when they have open air sidewalk tables, the conversations, the cutlery, the music, food delivery trucks, trash pickup. There have been plenty in the decades, wonderful community-friendly businesses like a bookstore, a pet shop, a travel agency. These are all things that, and the space is not conducive to a chain store at all. So that objection makes no sense. There is a real concern that by granting a liquor license, there's going to be even more incentive to push past the late opening hours, just generating more noise. And as people get, have their drinks, they get louder and noisier. So this really will be a problem. And in terms of the 311 call history, when we have called before, there's not much they can do. They want to, take decibel level readings inside the apartment, which becomes really problematic at 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So this is a real issue that I just want to amplify. And when people say, oh, well, just just move, that's a real upheaval, catastrophic to a person, and it just shifts the misery to the next unsuspecting tenant. So there really is a noise problem, which I think would be exacerbated by granting a liquor license. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Christine Curtis. I'm the mother of Kathy Curtis, and I lived through the whole Pierre Loti debacle, in which there is the equivalent of having 50 to 100 people in your own living room every night. To have this establishment serving people with an accordion door that opens all summer, and people congregating, smoking cigarettes, saying goodbye, just hanging out, having a good time, being boisterous, and it's just untenable. It's unlivable. So it's a public nuisance. It's not a public benefit to have such an establishment. In calling 311, I would tromp over at 3 o'clock to try to get them to stop. They never stopped on the hour, and these applicants have asked originally for 2 and 4 o'clock, so that's their original instinct, is to go beyond the hours, and this will be a continual issue. I called up the establishment night after night after night for years, and I have appeared before Community 4 Board for years, so they're well aware. So it's not that you don't have 311, and as my daughter said, you can't have a government entity come out at 3 a.m. to measure the decibel level in your own apartment. I mean, that's just nonsensical. So, and as far as these particular people are concerned, I was concerned that they put up the name of our board association president on their doorfront the day after he appeared here at the alcohol board last time, and I did not see that as a friendly gesture at all. So I am trained as an attorney. I try to write constitutional law papers there. The noise would be overwhelming, couldn't be able to focus or concentrate. So this is really a lack of quiet enjoyment issue that we're talking about, and it feeds into the overall issue of what is Manhattan going to be like. Are we going to get rid of all residential areas just so that we can have another club? The petition to be open to 4 o'clock, 3 nights a week, and then on the weekdays, 2 a.m. There's no way that one can keep one's sanity and still live there. So I would urge you to oppose and deny their request.
But for the record, they're asking for a closing time of 11 Sunday through Wednesday and 12 Thursday through Saturday.
I'm well aware, but I've gone through this for years with the prior establishment. They were supposed to close, and they did not. I would have to go over night after night or call them up because they're in the middle of their business, and they're having people there enjoying themselves. So that's just against human nature.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Chairman Bradley, Commissioners Fan and Ford. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Kara Pally. This is my husband, Joe Pally. We're the owners of GADFLY Bar. We appreciate the opportunity that you've given us to appear before you again today. We're happy to now have in writing support from Manhattan's Community Board 4 with the stipulations letter that you received. Additionally, our landlord has begun installing a gate on the stairs in front of the building to prevent loitering. We're here today with support from more than 300
Can I stop you there? I missed the part. Your landlord did what in front of the building?
Oh, sure. He's installing a gate on the stairs in front of the building, which was an issue that was brought up at our last hearing.
Okay, I just didn't hear you. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, just to prevent people from smoking or causing any noise outside. We're here today with support from more than 300 block residents who have submitted letters to you. This includes support from more than half of the building residents directly above us. And while the West 15th Street Block Association does not represent the interests of these hundreds of people on our block who support GADFLY Bar opening, we still do wish to engage in respectful dialogue with them moving forward. A precedent exists backed up by public records to show that a restaurant and bar can exist here peacefully and benefit the community and block. We understand this premises was licensed not once but twice. I believe the history of full liquor licenses goes back to 2005 at this address. 311 records, which they mention, show that this location had almost no record of noise complaints since 2013. We understand that the previous operators also had no disciplinary history with the SLA. We will be operating a restaurant and bar that caters to local residents and closes at 11 p.m. weekdays and 12 a.m. weekends. The prior establishment operated under similar stipulations for more than 10 years. We feel that for that reason we can be successful here as well. We want to stress that we've also gone above and beyond the previous operators by investing significantly in soundproofing that did not exist before. In closing, we hope that you'll consider our sincere efforts to listen and respond to every concern that has been presented to us. We're now eager to prove ourselves as responsible operators looking to better our neighborhood. We've invested our life saving in this business at this location, and we hope that you'll allow us the chance to open GADFLY Bar and to serve our community. Thank you.
What did the community board sign off on as far as entertainment?
It's basically.
I got it right here. Forget it. I got their email right here.
No problem.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Palillo, if you want to add anything.
I just want to mention that the initial community board recommendation for this approval was based upon two factors. The one, the absence of a letter of no objection. The second, the fact that the non-conforming use had lapsed. Last week I submitted to full board supplemental the updated LNO, which also addresses the non-conforming use issue. Neither one of these issues were indeed an actual issue that the community board should have recommended disapproval about.
How important is the live music to your method of operation?
I mean, it is important. We've already, we agreed to have it be limited to acoustic only to end at 10 p.m. We'd like to offer that as entertainment for our clients.
Also, we have done everything we can to accommodate the neighbors in the community. Cutting the hours back as far as we did, we need to have some way to potentially bring in new customers and customers staying. The live music will help us with that. We are stopping it very early.
Do you need to have live music with the doors and windows open?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Okay. When you say acoustic, you mean like acoustic guitar?
Yeah,
Acoustic piano?
Acoustic guitar would be the most obvious. Yes, acoustic piano, if we're able to actually swing that. Yes, acoustic.
Like
Acoustic, and I believe
like
it even specifies that it can't be amplified. Even acoustic can't be amplified as part of the stipulations.
Like a single artist.
Correct.
Most commonly, that's what I would expect. Or
right.
Right.
No more than
yes.
three.
The
Or
community
duo
board
or something.
stipulated no more than 3. I think typically would be 1 or 2.
Picture like a jazz trio.
Even that
or
would
less.
not be.
Right.
It would more likely be one. Somebody singing on guitar or just playing guitar even.
And you guys don't have operable windows, right? As far as I know, that open up.
That's true, right? Yes, we don't have any plans to. We can't, as part of our agreement, have live music, for example, with the accordion doors open on the side. We have a main entrance door. The windows do not open.
There's no windows to
The
open.
whole wall of the building opens.
The
whole wall.
we've already agreed.
Wait,
with
I'm
the
sorry,
community-
I'm
She's
confused.
talking about the accordion doors.
So there
The
are.
whole wall.
There are-
of the
Ma'am, we
building opens.
know it, we understand what you're talking about.
There are no windows. There on one side is our main entrance and windows that do not open. On the other side are doors, accordion doors that we've already agreed with our community board to keep closed.
And honestly, I mean, we're new operators there. I don't know how they even opened the doors fully because I've used them to receive a delivery, and it's almost impossible to fully open the doors, and we have no intention of doing that.
How long have you guys been working on this space?
Since April of last year.
April of last year.
We first appeared before the Community Board Licensing Committee in June.
Okay.
And the DOB has given you permission, has approved it.
That's
Right.
correct.
So
Yep.
All right, I'm ready. I just want the community to understand that I totally hear your objection to this license and your position on the matter. We, however, went back to the community board and asked them again to see if they would give us the stipulations that the full board and the community level had voted on, and they did send in something, and so I have to respect the process. So I am going to approve with the following conditions. Closing hours Sunday to Wednesday at 11, Thursday to Saturday at 12. That you will implement all the recommendations given to you by acoustic log. There will be no DJ, no karaoke. Live music will go until 10 p.m. with no more than 3 acoustic performers, not amplified, no bass, no amplification. There will be no outdoor seating and no music amplified outside. And there's no rear yard. Manager as needed, no security, no promoters, no dancing.
I think when Commissioner Fan says no bass, you mean like no bass subwoofers, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think.
Don't take it personally.
I don't think you mean an upright bass.
No, no.
Okay, that's okay. That's
I don't mean
acoustic.
that.
Were you offended?
Yes, maybe.
I'm a bass player.
I
I have
know,
to make
I
that
know,
distinction,
I know.
okay? So I'm going to vote to approve on all the same conditions.
Chairman Bradford.
I'm going to vote to deny. I just didn't, there's too many licenses in my opinion in this area. So I didn't see the public interest, but it's approved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is 323, that's La BARRICA Restaurant and Sport Bar, Inc.
After this, can we take like 2 minutes?
Hi, good morning. Well, yeah, good morning.
Hi.
Hello, my name is Anidis Cabrera, and I'm representing La BARRICA Restaurant, which is my business.
It's your business?
Yes.
Okay.
What number is this again?
It's
So you're the applicant.
323?
Yes.
How did you find out about this location?
I used to go there after work with a couple of my coworkers prior to me obtaining the restaurant.
Do you know the guys that owned it or the owners that owned it previous to this?
No, not really. I actually met them once I signed the lease. They needed to empty out the shop, the restaurant, so we actually crossed paths because I needed to let them in for them to take their belongings.
And when did you start thinking you were going to start this business?
Well, I thought I was going to be able to start the business sometime last year. I got my lease in January last year, and I haven't been able to open.
Wait, January of 21?
Yeah.
It was already licensed in January of 21.
I signed a new lease on 2021.
We didn't even, was it expired? We didn't cancel it till February of 2021.
When did you create the company for it?
Oh, yeah, 2021.
Was that place expired? Was that license expired?
The license
was canceled.
Expired 10/31/2020, so the cancellation.
Oh, it was after that? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the history that was at this place prior to you owning it?
No.
Well, you know you went to the bar that was there before you got involved in this place, right?
Yeah, I did. I went there a couple of times. We used to go there after work.
Do you know what happened to that bar?
No.
Well, we shut it.
Is there a
I find it curious that you filed, when did you open the company to run this business?
I opened it January 1st. That's when I signed the lease, ma'am.
Well, you filed a company with the state in November of 2020.
November
Sorry.
2020?
January, you signed the lease in January?
2021, that's correct.
The lease we have is from March.
The lease of her business?
I have no idea what's going on.
And, well, so that, something's wrong there, because the lease we have with your application is from March.
I have a lease here, January 1st.
Unless,
And then my next question is, what did the former owners take out of the building after you leased it? All their furniture and everything?
Yeah, the furniture, just the furniture.
What'd you do? What'd you do to replace the furniture?
I just added tables, the tables.
Did you have to buy them?
No, actually, they had given that to me.
Oh, so the former owners came and took their furniture out and they gave it back to you?
Yeah, we sorted something out.
What'd you sort out?
A payment for them.
How
'Cause
much?
They said they were. It was like a donation. So I don't remember. It was maybe $700. I think that's for all tables.
Have you seen them since?
No, I haven't.
So these
Is
guys
there-
came in, took their furniture out, and then asked you if you wanted it for $700.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the $700?
From my purse.
Because the reason I asked that question is the rent appears to be $4,700 a month.
Yeah, I've depleted all of my savings. I have a job.
And-
I've worked 9 to 5.
And then I'm assuming you had to pay a security deposit with that as well, correct?
That's correct.
How much was that?
It was 1 month's rent, 1 month's security.
So $9,400. Off the top, your application indicate, and then you paid $700 for the furniture, and then you obviously.
You paid $700 for tables. What about chairs?
Just tables. Just the tables. And chairs.
Do we have any chairs?
Yeah, it's 8 tables and 4 chairs per table.
And did you buy the chairs, or were they left in the restaurant?
They were left in the restaurant. I'm not sure if it was the landlord owned them or I didn't bother to ask, but they were there.
So how much money do you think you have invested in this place at this point?
Oh, I've been paying $4,500 monthly of rent for the past year. I've depleted most of my savings.
What did you do for work before this?
I'm still employed by the city of New York. I work 9 to
Doing-
5.
Doing what?
Human Resource Administration.
Is the place open now without alcohol?
No, it's not. It has not.
So you've been paying $4,500 a month for the past year for a place
Yeah.
that's not even open?
That's correct.
Mr. Burr leased the property in her own name in January and then assigned it to her, the applicant corporation in March. That's why you have a March date for lease.
What makes you want to get in this business? Because you have no experience in it.
I'm just trying to venture out. I'm trying to make it happen for me and my family. Just trying something new. I mean, I like the restaurant business. I was originally
How
a
do you know-
hotel restaurant.
How do you know you like it? It doesn't appear you've ever been in it.
I've never ran a business before, but I like to eat. I like to drink, so.
Who's the manager? How do you know the manager that you have on the application?
Someone referred him to me.
Who?
The person next door, the gentleman that, it's an African gentleman that sells arts and craft. He said he knew the manager. Usually I leave my rent money to him, to the gentleman, when the landlord goes and picks up the money for the rent every month. So he was the one that referred me to Carlos Ponciano, which is the manager.
You're aware he has no experience running a place like this either.
That's he seems to be working some other place. I'm not sure if he's working in the same position.
You don't know where he works right now?
No, I wouldn't be able to tell you. He just told me that he's doing like little things here and there.
Okay.
So,
She's lying.
what kind of place do you envision here? Like, what are your hours going to be?
8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Every night?
That's correct.
How's it a restaurant if you open at 8 p.m.?
Sounds more like a
Well, I
nightclub
have to
me.
work. It's a restaurant, sports, and bar.
You're going to be 8 to what time?
8 to 4.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
So,
I mean,
with
I'm
what,
willing to-
live entertainment? Live
Pardon?
entertainment, what? What
No
else?
live entertainment, just the DJ.
No dancing, nothing like
TV,
that?
no dancing, the
Dancing?
TV, television.
So ma'am, just so you clearly aren't aware, so I'm gonna make you aware, this place has an extensive disciplinary history. The last 3 licenses here have been canceled by the State Liquor Authority. The last license, which is the one you said you were a customer at, we actually had to do a summary suspension at because of their violations, and then we canceled it. And you have exactly the same method of operation that they all had and all got canceled, which was a restaurant that really wasn't gonna be a restaurant, but in my mind looks like it's gonna be a lounge/nightclub. Yet you have no experience and your manager has no experience running any place like this.
I wasn't aware of the situation prior to me obtaining this business. Obviously, this is not public information that I can look up in the internet. And the landlord didn't tell me why he just said that they couldn't afford the rent anymore.
And we're all up here questioning how you're affording it because what you've told us is that you've actually invested only $9,100 in this business, yet you've told us as well that you've done 10 times that amount since you've filed this application. So we don't know where any of that money's coming from.
Your representative, before you filed this application, could have found out the entire history of this place for you. It was available all online on our website.
When I tried looking it up, I couldn't find anything.
But you had someone fill this application out for you, correct, that you paid?
Yes, that's correct.
That they can do that and find it. That's why you pay them.
Again,
Yes.
Sure, man.
I think there are a lot of question marks here, so I'm gonna vote to deny.
Based on the past history of the premises, the fact that we canceled the past 3, we suspended the last one, the money doesn't exactly all even out to me, the financing and so forth, and your lack of experience running a place like this that has this kind of history. I'm going to vote to deny as well.
Chairman Bradley.
I'm going to vote to deny. I'm not convinced that she is the only applicant, given the past history of the place and her lack of experience, as well as the manager's complete lack of experience, as well as significant questions about where the money's coming from to establish this place. I'm going to vote to deny for cause. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So I'm going to go off the record, take for a brief recess. We're back on the regular after a brief recess. Mr. Burdick, is your client here for SALL Restaurant and Lounge LLC?
Yes, sir, he is. She is.
That's item number 386.
Thomas Burke from the law office of Stacey L. Weiss, and with me is the licensee, Isabella Notary Saul. This case is in default due to the fact that the licensee did not respond to the notice of pleading of 11/5/2021. The licensee tells me that she did not receive the notice of pleading, and she would like to explain to you the mail situation. Take your mask off and go ahead.
Hi, my name is Isabella Nartesal. So unfortunately, it's not just, what is it called? The State Liquor Authority mail that I have not received. I have not received a lot of other different mails because, one, we opened a little bit late. And also we have the same address as the next door restaurant, Mamacita and Grill, and then the building, and then ours. And sometimes they even deliver our mail to residential area on, that is 816, right next to us by the deli. So
This was certified mail though, wasn't it?
No.
Wasn't this sent certified mail?
Yeah, I don't remember if we got a return receipt or not.
Ma'am, this was sent certified mail. They would have left a receipt at your plate at the establishment.
No, nobody left a receipt. We opened very late, like at 7 p.m. So if I just paid $47,500 to the State Liquor Authority, unfortunately, I would not just receive a letter and just decline it.
Yeah, and you know, the thing and whether we reconsider this or not, obviously remains to be seen. But yeah, you did pay $47,500 to us over the last year for a variety of violations, and then you went out and just violated the same things again.
No, sir. This was an iPad that we always use connected, and then we all just control it from the music from that. So it's not like we went and actually paid for it.
Yes, she's not going to change this.
But I went on social media, and you're advertising DJs.
No, we do not have no DJs.
No, I don't think she's advertising
We're not advertising DJs. We don't have DJs. I don't pay for any DJs.
Well,
I looked at her social media as well. There's no DJ
There's no
advertising.
DJs.
she's not advertising DJs, but she's saying it's not a DJ because she has her employee doing it instead of hiring somebody
All of
from
us
outside.
just switch music.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Right, you're right, Mr. Meyerhoff. And I have told her that is a DJ. That is, in fact, a DJ.
You didn't have to tell her that.
But she
because
kept doing it.
I sent her an email myself. My prosecutor passed it on to her, telling her why her license was not, let me finish, please. Telling her why her license was not suspended the first time we got referrals from the police about how loud and disruptive her place was being. And I tried to explain to her in that email how important it was for her to operate within the method that she was approved to operate in. And she sent me a response saying, I received and understood. And then literally 10 days later, or less than 10 days later, she did exactly the same thing in the place. And that's why her license was suspended. And even after that, and paying $40,000, she continued to use a loud DJ. In a DJ station that's set up, that blocks, I think, a fire exit,
This was all addressed.
Do you have a DJ station?
No, we don't. It's all addressed. It's a speaker that we have because our speaker, our in-house Bose system has been broken. So we just connected a DJ, what is it called, a speaker right there, and we just play from the iPad, literally Bluetooth from it straight to that. Why would I go back and just
Her assertion is that there is no DJ booth.
There's no DJ booth. We dismantled all of that, and I had to send pictures proof to the investigator who gave me all those violations back then, and I addressed every single thing. So I would not go back and go pay a DJ, have a DJ set up station and continue playing. I didn't know that was.
So Was your employee standing there at the iPad playing music?
No. The problem is that when the music stops, we just press next. We go back and press next, and we continue going. There was nobody ever stationed literally playing next to next music, and no, we just, even myself, I go there and I press next. I didn't know that all of us, pressing next means that we are DJs.
Acting as a DJ.
And literally our both system in the ceiling is all broke, it's messed up.
What's the other failure to conform? Both are DJs, 8 and 9?
Both are
Yeah.
DJs. Yes, sir, both are DJs.
And I have a bifold door, so maybe the reason why, because in the summertime, because those was in the summertime, so I have a bifold door.
Here's what our investigative report says. On August 28th, 2021, I visited the licensed premises. There was music playing loud enough that I could hear it 21 feet and 10 inches away from the front door while it was closed. There was a DJ in the back of the premises playing the music. The song played when I got there was Rock and Come In by Linky First. I was able to use the phone application Shazam to obtain the name and time that the song was playing. I stayed for 45 minutes and the music was continuous and stayed at the same level.
Why do you do that?
All right, I think this is just, enough already.
Then on September 3rd, he returned. There was a DJ in the back of the premises playing the music. I could still hear the music from the same distance as before.
There was no DJ,
Yes.
sir. There's no DJs.
Well,
All of
I
us
mean, I
literally-
think you. I'll recon
probably the speaker was
I'll
loud.
recon the. I'll grant recon on the fault, and then he's offered a straight no contest. I think you're probably gonna have to go to hearing on this because I don't.
No, this is not. She's offered a no contest, which means.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna vote to recon. Go ahead.
Yes, I will also recon and withdraw the default, but I'm still at cancel and bond.
I will vote to reconsider as well. And
This place got hundreds of 311 calls.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
That was in the past.
That
That was in the past. I fixed everything. That was in
Ma'am,
the past.
the past was last May.
Yes, yes,
We
yes,
didn't
Mr.
go
Chairman.
back. We didn't go back for no reason. We went back there because your neighbors were complaining about the same conditions that caused the license to be suspended.
I mean, you've gotten more warnings than anybody that I've really dealt with in the last 3 or 4 years, and you didn't heed any of them.
Yeah, you don't care. You just don't care about the people
But
around
go
you.
ahead, Commissioner Ford.
so I'm a cancel and bond as well.
Cancel and bond.
Next is 326. That's Norman Saki LLC.
But that was in the past.
Norman Saki LLC.
Hi, good afternoon. Joseph Levy here on behalf of Norman Sake LLC. I have two of the applicant.
326.
Two of the
Go ahead.
applicant principals. So I have two of the applicant principals here with me today, George Padilla and Adam Landsman. I know there were two opposition letters on the record. I don't know if there's any opposition here you want to hear from.
If they're there, they're not up here. Are they in there? Yeah, so we did get two. We did get two letters of opposition. Go ahead. 326.
Okay, I submitted a pretty thorough submission in advance of this hearing, highlighting all the ways that we believe that the issuance of this license would be in the public convenience and advantage. I hope the members received them and were able to review them. In addition to the overview letter, we included a concept deck. We included letters from members of the community that support the concept, as well as some additional backup for our claims in our overall submission. So the issuance of this license would serve the public convenience and advantage in a number of ways. Number one, it would fulfill a deficiency in the specialized Japanese beverage alcohol market that is currently not being served. Second, they plan to engage with the community to enlighten the public about some uniquely and culturally diverse products in the alcoholic beverage space that are not readily available and people do not know a lot about. Third, they plan to work to highlight other local businesses so that as they have success, so too do the other local businesses, and they can highlight what they do so well. 4, they look to serve an expanding high foot traffic area. The location here is right on the precipice between Williamsburg and Greenpoint. You guys have seen tons of applications in recent years, really the last decade, highlighting the tremendous residential and commercial growth in that neighborhood. And 5, they plan to service those people that are coming in. We submitted as an exhibit some information on upcoming residential and commercial developments that further this concept of really an exploding neighborhood, as well as population number increases also in our submission. So
And
in
it's
terms of the
also
specific...
next to their restaurant too, correct?
Correct. So in terms of fulfilling a deficiency in the market, as you can see from the submission, what we're talking about here is a niche, boutique, very specialized Japanese beverage store. They are looking to focus in sake, Japanese shochu, Japanese whiskey, and spirits, as well as Japanese natural wines. This is a niche market. It's one that's not only not being served in this immediate vicinity, but there are only 2 potentially comparable stores within New York City. And the closest to, one's in the East Village in Manhattan, and the other is about 5.5 miles south, about 35, 40-minute car ride from this proposed location. And my clients, as you mentioned, Commissioner Ford, own a restaurant directly next door. Japanese restaurant featuring a really involved and interesting sake and beverage program. And the impetus for this application in the first place was my clients who are here today running this restaurant, which has been successful, answering questions from their patrons as to where they can get these interesting types of sake, Japanese whiskey, Japanese soju. And they didn't have a good answer for them. So
is there a plan to be all Japanese wines or what? What is it?
Correct. So it's a Japanese-focused boutique store. So there will be Japanese natural wines, there will be Japanese whiskey, there will be Japanese soju, and there will be sake. And there will be a more... in that area. Sorry?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh. So anyway, not only will this store and the restaurant next door together enhance the experience of their patrons and their neighbors in their neighborhood, but it will also be standalone, a destination of a store that will be non-competitive with any of the 4 closest. Our clients who have had the benefit of being in the community for years at this point, they're familiar with the 4 closest stores. They've visited them. They've taken stock of their inventory. And you can see from the submissions, there are very few of these product selections in those stores, and there's going to be virtually no overlap whatsoever. We've included a product list so you can see the different brands they plan to carry and the fact that there's literally 0 overlay with the competitive stores. This location is also very close to high foot traffic points such as a few specific subway lines, McCarran Park, and again, lots of new residential commercial development that's either been recently finished or has just been approved and is going to be moving ahead over the next few years. We're here to answer any questions that you have. We can talk about the educational program, and you can hear from George directly, who has a number of certifications and accreditations to put him in position to opine on sake and these beverages, as we're suggesting if you'd like. But I don't want to spend any time that's unnecessary, as obviously it's...
I know it's in here. What's the name of the restaurant again?
It's called Rule of Thirds.
That's the name of the restaurant, okay.
Yep. Correct. And you may see in some of the support letters, they refer to this as Bin Bin Sake, which is the DBA for Norman Sake LIC.
Okay. I'm going to vote to approve.
I'm going to vote to approve as well.
I'm going to vote to deny. There's 3 stores within 0.25 miles. And other than 2020, their sales went down consistently, so I don't see any public convenience and advantage. But it's approved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can't hear me?
It's getting the paper.
Next
No, I turned it off for a minute to talk to her.
No.
Oh, that could be.
Next is 324, Cafe Inc.
Maybe I should move it further away from
So I can't turn it off.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Hillary St. Louis, the owner and manager of the cafe located 22507 Linden Boulevard.
So you're already open, is that correct?
Correct, yes. I'm only operating my kitchen. My hours right now are 12 noon to 10 p.m. And I'm pushing with the kitchen. The food is doing really, really, really well. I applied for beer and wine, and I'm just hoping that the beer and wine is more of just an accent to the food. So I'm really just pushing my kitchen.
How long you been open already?
Since November.
Okay.
But you're pushing your kitchen, but you want recorded DJ, karaoke, and live bands?
Well, the DJ and the karaoke was something that, like, eventually down the line I would be doing. As a first-time business owner, going to other places, I see that these are things that they're having. So these are things I would eventually want to have, but it's not required, none at all right now.
What kind of food are you making?
American and Jamaican cuisine. And I'm very active in the kitchen as well. I don't even have a staff. I'm there 6 days out of the week. I have my cousin right now working in the kitchen with me. And we're really just getting by. And I'm hoping that, you know, this license can come through to get the full potential of what I see that I want to do.
Are you aware of the history at this place prior to you?
So what I know from the person that's been working on my application is that they had COVID-related violations. I don't really know in full details. I think they had history of loud music. Other from that, that's
we did a summary suspension.
And then later canceled them.
In January of last year, and then canceled them in February.
They offered a CNC to cancel them off.
Okay, and it was all COVID?
It was a COVID era, and I think it was mostly COVID violations that caused the suspension.
Okay. And you all this money's coming from your...
There was an availing, there was a failure to perform the applicant. There was unauthorized purchases.
Okay. All of your investment in this is coming from your retirement?
Well, my 401k is there. I was also working for a retail brand for about 8 years, and I did a good job of saving. And then I lost my job in September, and I was unemployment for a little bit. And I've just been saving because I really just want to open my own business. And I literally go to a beauty supply store that's on the corner of the establishment, and I saw the rent sign on the window, and I called, and I got like a broker, and we spoke about it, and he said that right now it's completely vacant because the owners walked away. And that was all the information I got about the previous owners. And I just really just took the leap and just did this. I just didn't know it was going to be such a strain financially and such a long process.
Yeah. And what'd you do? Take a loan from your 401k, or did you just take a penalty and withdraw it?
No, I didn't take the loan from the 401k. I had money saved up for about 10, 15 years now working. And I literally used that lump sum of money and took a chance and just did this.
But you did it looks like you took 20,000 from your 401k.
She's now saying she didn't.
No, I didn't take any. No. I did not take any money. No,
That's what it says.
No, but I never took money from my 401k. I have my 401k as a backup if anything, but I never took money from my 401k. I don't know how that's even possible, because I didn't.
I'm just telling you what your application says. It says applicant's 401k retirement account, 20,000. A Chase Bank account for 10,000 for a total cash of 30,000.
Well, no, I never took any money from my 401k. When I spoke with my lawyer that was handling the case, I said, I have money in my 401k that I'm relying on for this. But I never said I took money.
Okay, so understand what we're talking about. There's a form that gets filled out that says these are the expenses and this is where the money's coming from. So in the form that was submitted by your representative, it said you were going to have expenses of $15,000 for renovations and $15,000 for miscellaneous expenses. So that's $30,000.
Right.
And to show where the money's coming from, your representative said $10,000 was coming from your bank account and $20,000 from your 401k. So that's where the members are getting that information from. from what was
Oh,
submitted
wow.
in your application.
Okay, I understand what you're saying right now, but I was under the impression when he asked me for my 401 accounts, that is just to show where my money is. I didn't know that it was stating that that is where my money came from, because I physically did not take out any money of my 401k. I
All right,
still have that.
so far, all the money you've spent has come out of your savings account.
Correct, yes. This is
Okay.
money that I've been saving, yes.
Your hours are Sunday to Wednesday until midnight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 1 a.m.?
Ideally, I would love 1 a.m. If I cannot get that, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay.
What about if we ask you to have a security guard as needed on the weekends, Friday and Saturday?
Absolutely.
Meaning, if you think you're gonna have a
Licensed
busy
security.
night, hire him. If you don't, or bring him in. If you don't, then don't.
Absolutely.
What about the music?
No DJ, no
I,
live band.
I don't need a band, I don't need a DJ.
Okay, all right. I'm going to vote to approve with the following conditions: Sunday to Wednesday, midnight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 1 a.m., security guards and manager as needed, no DJ, no live music, no karaoke, no promoters, no private events, no dancing.
Okay.
You can come back in a year if everything is fine and ask for some of that stuff back.
Okay, okay, thank you so much.
Right, we got other two people got to vote on this.
Oh, okay.
She acts like she runs the place, but we try to run it together.
She really did, okay.
It takes both of us to contain her sometimes. But
Okay.
I vote to approve under the same conditions as Commissioner Fan stated.
Then I will do the same.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good luck.
Next is agenda number 348, All Night Skate Inc. All Night Skate.
Hello, good afternoon. Ravi Sharma here for All Night Skate. And I have the applicant principals as well. I should say the licensee principals.
Can we take 2 minutes and just go on mute for a second?
We're gonna, yeah, we're gonna go and brief recess the conference for council. Be right back. We're back on the record after a brief conference with council. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, so this is an application for change of method of operation to increase the hours to the legal limits of 4 a.m. daily and to add a DJ to the method of operation. This is a license that has been in place, I believe, about a year and a half. There's been no complaints whatsoever. There was a limitation on the license printed. It was based on a letter from the community board at the time of the original application. Contrary to the statement in the letter, there was no stipulation by my client with the community board for those limited hours. However, they have adhered to them since the time of issuance. This is not a 500-foot rule location. There are not more than 3 licensed establishments within 500 feet. I submit that at the time that the restrictions were put on, my clients, who were not my clients at the time, could have but did not object to those hours. But at this time, I believe there should be no, because there is no opposition, and even if there were opposition from the community board, I would state that they should be granted their change of method of operation as of right.
Did you go to the community board? Did you go to the community board with this?
Did not. We know the
Are you
community
surprised
board.
they didn't object?
Well, the point is that we know what the community board's position is, that they want 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. As they originally indicated at the time of licensing. However, with respect to the notice requirements, there is no notice requirements for a method of operation change. And in this case, because there's no 500-foot rule issue, I believe that the community board's recommendation should not be dispositive of what is granted to my client at this time.
It's not, it certainly is not dispositive, but it certainly is informative to us. And I frequently utilize it on numerous occasions, and frequently they have information that would be useful in us considering what the hours should be, particularly if we're looking at a reason for cause.
Well, I don't believe.
So whether they have a legal right under the 500-foot law to give their opinion or not is kind of irrelevant to me, because I certainly would like that information because they live in the area.
Right. However, for method of operation changes such as this.
So you're telling us that you basically purposely didn't go back to the community board?
The statute doesn't require notice in this case.
I'm not asking, I didn't ask you if it required notice. I know it doesn't. I'm asking you if you thought about that, since they obviously thought about it when they applied, because it didn't require notice then either, other than the fact that they were applying.
Well, it did require notice at the time, because that is a requirement to give notice.
It didn't require them to meet with the community board.
No, that's true. It did not require them to meet with the community board.
Yes, they did. Yet they did.
Yet they did. I don't know.
So to answer my question is, you did decide that you were not going to do it this time.
Correct, because we know the position of the community board, and we wanted to save time.
I don't. You may, but they've been open a year. I don't know their position. How can you know it?
Well, it hasn't changed. It appears right on this, what I'm looking at, what's in front of you. It says that the community board originally opposed the application, and it's talking about this application, then it would support the application with the 1 and 2 a.m. closing times above. So it appears that the community board has been in contact with the liquor authority.
No, that's in reference to the original application. Originally, the community board opposed the original application and then said it would support it with those closing hours.
Okay, I understand that that's true. I understand that's true.
Mr. Sharma, how could the community board offer any input on this application if it doesn't know about it?
Well, I don't know that it doesn't know about it from. I know it doesn't know about it from us. The point is that we wanted to save time here, and at no time during the last 7 months did anybody from the liquor authority say, "Hey, we think you need to give notice to the community board." Because the reality is that we don't need to give notice to the community board. There's been no adverse history. There's been no complaints. And we're not asking for anything.
Well, so how do we know there's been no complaints to 311? How do we know there's been no complaints to the police department? We're not aware of that because we don't go check that. We don't necessarily get those complaints.
Well, there's certainly been no violations, notice of pleadings, or.
Well, we don't know that either.
Well, let me ask you this, because I have the Instagram page for your client's premises open right now. Do they have a kitchen on premises? How are they making food?
We have a kitchen. Yes, they have a kitchen.
And why are they doing food by Mr. Taco with a truck outside?
Oh, that's not us.
That's not their business.
We named the kitchen Mr. Taco, but it's inside the venue.
They have a kitchen inside the venue.
He has another business that's a truck.
So apparently, there's a separate business that's got the same name, but it's not.
Right outside their establishment?
It's inside. It's inside.
You have a chef on duty?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do you use DJs?
No,
we don't have DJs.
No, that's why there's a request here to use DJs.
Okay, and what about Bimbo Babes Burlesque? What's that?
It's just like a drag show.
Hold on.
We do drag shows.
It's a drag show. Are they authorized for that?
No, that's inside dancing.
It's a drag show.
And they have DJs advertised.
No, I don't know
every
if you're in the
night.
right place. There's a lot of
It's
them.
not the right place?
Can we go off the record for a minute here?
No, it
We're
is
going to
the
go
right
off the
place.
record for a.
It is?
right
What
place.
is, let me see it.
He said Mr. Taco.
He works for us, yeah.
We're back on the record after a conference.
Literally lying.
Okay, so why, if you're not having DJs, is there a posting for upcoming nights that have DJ Dirty Old Birkin, Wednesday, February 16th, DJ Golden Calm on February 17th? Are those DJs you're advertising not DJs?
No.
So.
What
we
are they?
just- To bring in more customers, we just want some people that have a taste in music to have a curated playlist. They just
Yeah,
invite
but we
their
just
friends.
asked you and you said you don't use DJs, but it's all over your page. It's like, it's.
You just lied to our face.
I know, and I just can't handle this. This is insane.
I mean, it goes back months. So now you're asking for something you're now asking us to approve something that it's clear to us you've already been doing for months. Why come and ask us?
I suppose we thought that if people were just playing a Spotify playlist and they were able to invite their friends, then it wouldn't be like a full musical gear, like a full setup. We were just trying to think of ways to possibly bring in some more guests because we haven't had like a lot of opportunities to make money. So we thought if these people could just like play a playlist, then they would invite their friends to come visit us. It isn't like a full DJ station or like anything like that.
So it's half a DJ, but you're advertising the full DJ.
You're also asking us to credit that you have a kitchen and a chef when you are saying that your food is by some other business. Mr. Taco NYC.
He works for us.
But is he working out of the truck or is he working in your kitchen?
The truck is for a different location. He operates the truck at a different bar in South Brooklyn. So he works for us now with his intellectual property and his recipes, but the truck is completely non-related. If you're looking at the Mr. Taco Instagram, he was.
No, we're
posting
looking at yours, and it
Okay.
looks like you're having DJs on Tuesdays, Thursdays. You
Those
turned
are
this
just
into
like-
you turned this into a club for months. So
We
I mean,
did-
here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to approve this, and I hope your lawyer wasn't also just directly lying to us like you are, because that would certainly determine my view of his credibility going forward. But I'm going to deny this, and I would suggest, should you want to do anything to change your license, that you definitely go to the community board first, even if it's not required by law, simply because you just sat there and told us there were no violations. We pulled up your Instagram and found 50 of them, which could have shut your bar permanently.
I just am curious, where on
Yeah.
Instagram is that information? Because I was not aware.
Okay.
All night skate.
So where, can I ask you where the information on the violations are?
You are advertising DJs, which presumably means you had DJs. Are you advertising something that you're not providing?
When you did ask me the question if we were having half DJs, the answer is yes. It's more like a half
There's
DJ.
no such thing. You're not advertising half DJs, and it wouldn't matter. They're the same thing.
You're also doing performance, you're doing drag shows. You're not approved for that either. You obviously decided that you're gonna entertain in any way that you see fit, and try to explain it away when you get caught. It's really not the right way to proceed with the state liquor authority.
Right.
Well, yeah, I'm with the chairman. I'm going to vote to deny, and if you can get the community board to support you, you can come back.
And I'm surprised we haven't heard from them, to be honest with you.
Well, there's,
as well.
I just want to point out that first of all, I'm telling you what my clients have told me currently
Well, you
right
should
here
look
and
as well.
previously.
You should look as well. This is
No, but-
public information.
But the reality is that this is a very small location that has no direct neighbors. There's nobody living in the building. Calling it a nightclub is really a misnomer when it has a maximum capacity of 37 people. And the reality is that apparently they've been advertising that they've had a DJ, but they've told you that means they've had somebody coming in and choosing a Spotify playlist. And what they're telling you is that they don't have DJ decks and a sound system that is the type of things that are required or normally thought of as, a full-on DJ setup with dancing and whatnot.
I have to stop you, sir. Have you been there?
I have not been there.
Their premises, do you know what equipment they have inside?
I do not know exactly what they have inside,
Okay,
and I've never made any misrepresentation of what they've had.
You
inside.
just did.
You just made representations
They just-
that went beyond,
yes,
excuse me, let me finish,
yes.
please. You made representations that went beyond what they said, as if you had some personal knowledge of what was in their location. After you were just found to be incorrect in describing their compliance with the law. Can you please understand why that's a problem? Do you get that?
I am merely repeating what they just told you today.
They didn't
right
say
here on the
anything.
record.
And why would you do that? Simply because they told you before they didn't have DJs, and you repeated that, and it was wrong.
They told me right here that there was
I'm
no DJs.
sorry,
I know, and you repeated it, and it was wrong.
I think we
was not
voted.
entirely sure that a DJ or one person playing a Spotify
We all have the same
playlist.
definition.
Oh, do you mind? Because I'm actually really, really
If
curious.
that's the case, you're not advertising them you're advertising them on social media as DJs. Why would you call them something different here?
Because they don't have a professional DJ setup. It's a very, very simple setup. It's
Are
very
you
stripped
paying?
down.
Are you paying?
No. No.
So
DJ Old Birkin
Or-
comes in for free?
or DJ Princess Reggie comes in for free?
Everybody comes in for free. There's no cover. There's a suggested donation sometimes, but that's just a contribution on the guest part.
Well, I mean, the bottom line was, and I don't need to repeat this, is that there were limits placed on the license. Whether that was wrong or right at the time is irrelevant. You were still expected to follow them, and you didn't. And then you came in here and told us you did. So
I'm sorry, I just am still a little bit confused. If we do all have the same
We voted,
definition
ma'am.
of,
It's over.
may I ask a question? Because I want
yeah,
to do
well,
this
she can ask
correctly.
she can ask
May
a
I please
question.
ask a question? because we do have the same definition of a DJ and I want to do things right, I don't want to break the law or step outside of what we are allowed to do, can you please tell me exactly what a DJ is and if a person playing a Spotify playlist is a DJ or not?
You can, background music is pretty self-explanatory. That's what you're approved for.
But if a person
background music, not entertainment.
So one person, I guess I thought that if there was one definition on entertainment or like a DJ, I thought it would be pretty clear. Like if someone is just doesn't have equipment, just like plays a Spotify playlist.
It's pretty clear that your license does not permit you to have DJs and you're advertising DJs. Why does it need to be any more complicated than that? Yeah. You obviously decided that what you were going to have was DJs.
And you're also advertising burlesque, which is live entertainment. You weren't approved for that. Is that clear?
I know this is going to sound silly, but it's kind of an LGBTQ thing. I guess within the queer community.
Listen, burlesque, there's nothing illegal about burlesque. The problem is, it has to be on the application and approved, and you weren't approved for it. There's absolutely nothing illegal about DJs either, but you were not approved for it, which you are obviously aware of because now you're asking for it.
Commissioner, I was unaware of the burlesque. What I'm going to ask is that
it's employee dancing.
I would ask that you consider taking this off calendar, giving us a chance to contact the community board.
We voted already.
And come back. Well,
we voted already, sir.
No, even if you got community board approval now, I wouldn't grant it after I have seen what they have been doing. I might grant it down the road, but certainly not right now. I wouldn't tell you not to apply again, but I would say that you're not going to get it on this application, and we've already voted, so that's clear.
Thank you.
Next is item number 350, Some Young Guy LLC.
How did I just lie to you? I know. And it's like, did it just, we're like, living in a box or something?
Hi, good afternoon, members.
Look at their Instagram, like, what the fuck?
No, he didn't.
He waited 7 months?
Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, members.
350.
This is for Some Young Guy LLC, and the business owner Sally Matter and the Lip John is here. Back to February, and when I submitted 30 days notice.
Could you just put your name on the record?
That Some Young Guy LLC.
No, your name.
Oh, Jen Du from Michael Floyd Inc. I'm the representative to file this application.
Yep, you're listening.
So I mean, the first question and it's obviously going to be a Chinese restaurant, and I don't see a problem with it. But the first question that has to be answered is why did you not go to the community board when they asked you to go?
Back to the February, when I submitted 30 days notice through the email, at that time, it's a little bit confused whether Zoom meeting's on or not on. Obviously, right now, definitely for sure, every notice was sent by certified mail, we know. So I truly, truly regret and I missed the Zoom meeting. And if there's no Zoom meeting, I would not miss it at all. So I already immediately communicated with the CB2, already filed the 30 days notice and already scheduled a March 1st meeting. And I sincerely regret that. And please give us the opportunity to grant additional conditional approval. And because all the documents, and we already met with.
Okay.
So you're going to go to community board on 3/1, did you just say?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, on the March, they already
whatever
scheduled.
Stipulations.
Yeah, they already
whatever
scheduled.
They demand, we put on there.
So why don't we just kick it over to 316 and then just get there?
Because then they can open the next day. After they get the steps, they can pretty much come in and
Yeah,
show
but
us the steps.
What if
ask
they
for
just
something
don't?
else?
Yeah, let's just wait. I'm gonna
how
kick
long
this
does it
out
take?
to 316.
How long does it take for them to give you a written decision?
If we don't get the community board letter by 316, we will then move it to 330.
No, we definitely for sure, because I communicated with Florence from CB2. She already scheduled us. And meanwhile,
Okay,
I
all right, so we're
Okay,
putting
I'm
it
just
over.
saying that after that's the committee meeting that you're going to, because then the board on CB2 needs to vote on it. So you may or may not get a letter of stipulation until the end of March. It's possible. So I'm gonna put it at 3/16 for now, and then it's possible that we'll still have to move it back like 1 or 2 meetings.
Sure, because the 2 meetings usually are part of when they are 2 days. Within 2 days, they will have the 2 meetings. So 16 is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that
And
sounds good.
meanwhile, I would like to request, whether you can approve us the 30 days, temporary permit, because it's really been so long, and I already submitted temporary permit, and the CB2 already accepted that. Yes, already approved.
No, I'm not asking you, I'm asking him.
You filed for a temporary already?
I already submitted a new one for the temporary permit, and the CB2 already received that.
When?
I think February 1st, the same day when I submitted 30 days notice.
Did we have the 500-foot hearing? I assume the ALJ found public interest.
So it's here.
What?
Yeah.
Well, then they can get one, I guess. We can't give it to you today, but.
So it was put into our system on the 15th. It's still going to be a couple weeks before it gets issued.
Why? She already had her 500-foot hearing in the decision.
Because we have a big stack of applications we're going through because of the new law.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna get to it, but it's gonna take another 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you so much. And meanwhile, I'm going to submit it the March 16 for the CB2. Okay, thank you so much.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay.
How many you got backed up? Like 500 or?
I don't have a number, but the problem is that with applications that are already filed, when we get the retail permit application in, we have to send it to whichever office has it. It's not like when we get the whole application in, everything is there.
Can we just scan it in here and they can have access to it or no?
Next is,
We can have a discussion about that later.
this item is 351, that's Radio Free Red Hook LLC.
Okay, it wasn't a DJ, but you advertised it as a DJ. Then what is it?
It's like,
Just say Reggie's gonna be spinning albums.
What?
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Elke Hoffman. I'm representative for the applicant. With me here is Sinjin Frizzell, who is the principal, as well as Jared Newmark from WeFunder. Yeah. So this does not involve DJs, promoted events. This involves
No, but I got to be honest with you, Ms. Hoffman, because this caused me as much consternation as the DJs. One, we can't find any application where we've approved this except possibly one that you self-certified, which means we never looked at it.
Now we've also filed a similar platform, Republic. We filed a distillery application that was not a self-certified application. I'm aware of my colleagues who have also filed using WeFunder. Now this is, I think that WeFunder, maybe we should, I'm trying to explain to you, this is different than like a Kickstarter or GoFundMe campaign. WeFunder is one of the platforms that's licensed and registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
That's not that. See, the concern isn't the licensure or any of that. The concern is that we have no information on any of these 1,000 people. And if you're going to call in one part of your submission, you call these loans, and you are aware as well as me that anyone that loans to an establishment fills out a personal questionnaire unless they are a bank, and this is not a bank. On your next submission, you try to call it equity. Yet I don't know how it could be equity, but I guess it probably is, because to me it's clearly not a loan. Yet we have no idea what portion or percentage of equity in the business it is, because we don't know what was invested in the business previously.
Let me take a step back. That is not exactly accurate. When you purchase securities on the public market, you can purchase debt and you can purchase equity. These are public offerings. These are registered public offerings. And the WeFunder and similar platforms, and again, Jared can fill in a little bit further, a company can choose to sell notes or to sell equity. These were notes, so that is a debt instrument. It is paid out of proceeds, so instead of having a set payment term, instead of quarterly or monthly payments, it is paid when the company has revenues. These are promissory notes. There is no residual equity. A company could choose to use the platform to sell equity, and then there would be, just like any registered public offering, you have never required personal questionnaires from shareholders purchasing on a registered stock exchange. And these
yes, but of those, you can in a minute, of those shareholders, one, they have a board of directors that's overseeing the company. Two, every shareholder, because they own a stock or they own thousands of shares of stock, we can determine based on the amount of stock that's outstanding what percentage of the company they own. Here, we have no clue.
No, correct. In this case, because they don't own any of the stock. These were promissory notes. These were debt instruments purchased. And in fact, if there were an equity offering, you would have that information. There is a cap table if this was an equity purchase, but these were not. These were actually promissory notes.
Without anybody overseeing them.
All right, here's the problem. I'm going to phrase it to you so that you can understand what the concern is. First of all, if you're going to, please, in the future, if you're going to say there are other cases where this has been approved, you need to supply them. Just saying that does not help us. And if this is to continue and you still want to try to demonstrate that we've done this, we're going to need that information because we're not aware of it. Here's the problem. First of all, just calling something debt doesn't make it debt. And yes, there are securities offerings that are debt, but they usually have somebody who's in charge of the debt. There's an indenture trustee. There's some person, there's a syndicate leader. There's somebody who is responsible for making sure that the debt holders have their rights addressed properly. And that person could end up giving us a personal questionnaire in a circumstance like that. That's not the way this is set up. As far as I can tell, every individual has a direct contract, which you have deemed to be debt, with your client. And under that circumstance, based on the way we have always done business, each one would then need to be, he's an individual lender who would need to have a personal questionnaire. That's number one. Number two, I don't even think that it is debt. And I don't either. I don't know that we've considered the issue here, or an agency has considered the issue of whether crowdfunding is debt or equity for purposes of rules like we have. But in every other context in which someone looks at whether something is debt or equity, it's not just what you label it, right? The bankruptcy courts or tax authorities will look at factors to determine whether something is debt or equity. And the factors on kind of all of them, you fail. There's no security or collateral here. There's no repayment requirement other than from repayment based on performance. And the business is undercapitalized. You put in a financial disclosure that says the entire investment in the business is from this funding, which means there's no equity in the business. The only money in the business is this crowdfunding. Under those circumstances, at least based on my experience in those other areas, I don't know that anybody would characterize it as debt. And that's certainly something that we have to consider here as a matter of first impression. So really, in either direction, you have a problem. If it's equity, then we have to treat it as equity, and we need to know those issues and then figure out who needs to be on the license. If it's debt, we need the personal questionnaires. That's the problem.
Again, I beg to differ. We don't just decide whether it's debt or equity. It is also opined on and reviewed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And I think, again, I'm representing Radio Free Red Hook. I think it's best to let Jared address a little bit more about WeFunder and Regulation CF, who is the expert on the security side.
Yeah, so the kinds of offerings that companies have an option of choosing to use to raise money via WeFunder, they're not just like what they're not offerings that a company gets to say, I want to call this debt or I want to call this equity. We are registered and licensed by the SEC to offer a specific number of clearly defined instruments. One of those is a simple loan, which would be like the more traditional kind of debt that you're familiar with. The kind of debt that this company is trying to raise for, it's a revenue share loan. So they actually are soliciting, like people are giving them money that has to be paid back. It's just paid back in a different manner than a simple loan.
Well,
where there
can
are
I stop? Can I stop? Let me stop you there. What if you never make a dime?
Then you don't
There's
make a
nothing
dime
in,
back.
based on what was submitted to us, there's nothing in that paperwork that says it has to be paid back unless you make revenue.
Correct.
So that doesn't have to be paid back. You can walk away with this and there's no security.
Let me cut through this. The legal problem here, it may very well be that someone at the SEC blessed this as being debt. I don't know. You may know more about that than I do. What I can tell you is, whatever that structure is that led to that, it's leagues ahead of the law that we have and does not fit neatly into either pocket of what we have to do here. If you want, and we get back to the same issue, if you want to call it debt, who's in charge of all these loans? Is there some representative of these lenders who represents their interests on their behalf, or does each one of them get paid?
Who? Yes, there is. So all of the way that we structure our contracts, all of the investors, they actually invest in an SPV, special purpose vehicle that represents all of them as a single entity. And the person, there's a single person who votes on behalf of them in the future. That's the lead investor of this raise, who is selected by the founder of the company.
That's the voting on. I didn't think they had voting rights. Who represents the lenders? You're calling them lenders. How do they have voting rights?
There's nothing to vote on based on this kind of deal because it is a revenue share. It's not stock or equity, but everybody is represented by one person that's chosen by the founder. And just like any other kind of debt instrument, there's a chance that any company, whether it's a small mom and pop shop or a big tech startup, if they took a loan out, if they default, they might not be able to pay back their investors at all. Like failure is a risk of any business across any industry. So I'm not quite sure how it's different.
There's an agreement that puts all of your individual 107 lenders into a syndicate that's represented by somebody who owes their allegiance to the lenders and not to the company? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Okay, where's the documentation on that? Did we receive it?
No.
We are required, per the SEC, for any Reg CF filing to submit what's called a Form C, which is available to the public. So if you go to, I can definitely send you the link to that. It's available on EDGAR, which is the SEC's public website that discloses all of this information.
We don't have EDGAR permission. My recommendation is that we put this over, that you send us the documentation. This is a possible way we can handle this.
Yeah, we can send all of this.
Somebody who's responsible for this syndicate of loans puts in their personal question. Okay. And then the board can decide, even though this is a case of first impression, whether they would waive the obligation of having each individual lender do a personal question.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
And Ms. Hoffman, I want a list of the situations we've done this previously other than your self-certified application. Because that's one that should have been brought to our attention then, if that's the only time. And two, it's kind of disingenuous to tell us that we have precedent, but then we never saw the precedent because you self-certified it.
Well, I also had given the distillery information too.
No, we don't have any information. We found the restaurant on our own. The other ones, we have no information from you.
I mean, I had correspondence with Terrence Green, who I gave the information to us to the other licenses in our correspondence.
Who's Terrence Green?
He's which license?
Oh, well, he didn't put it in our paperwork.
For some reason, if you gave that information to him, we didn't get it.
All right, so I'm gonna push this to 3:16 so that you have some time to get it together and conversate with council about how to.
Okay, 3:16, thank you.
What number is this again? I'm sorry.
Can you just
I'm not against
specify,
it, just.
Just to clarify, can you remind me exactly the two things that you said you needed from me so I can send them over as soon as possible?
Want the entire
We
license.
need whatever agreements you have that suggest that these loans have been syndicated in some way or grouped so that
Yes.
there's an independent person who's responsible for the rights of the lenders, right? Which could conceivably be a substitute for them being individually required to send in personal questions. I need all the documentation you have on that.
Yeah,
Cross-references or links to Edgar or other places are not gonna help us. We're not, okay? That's number one. Number two, we're asking Ms. Hoffman to give us whatever precedent she knows of where a crowdfunding matter was approved by the state of Florida.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is 383, that's 60 Sweet Thing Gate.
383? Yes, yeah.
383.
To hell over. Sweet Thing Redemption.
383, Sweet Thing, Inc.
60 Sweet Thing.
Sorry, Donald, that.
That's a CNC for 1,500, I'll accept.
I'll accept.
I'll accept. Hey,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pillow, before you walk off,
Sir.
I meant to say
Yes,
something to you about the other one. Which one was it? It was,
The bar.
386.
15th Street.
Gadfly.
Gadfly, yeah.
Gadfly.
So your supplemental that you submitted was 245 pages, much of it triplicate.
Who's counting though?
So I don't know who's looking at your stuff, but it makes us have to go through the whole thing to make sure there's nothing that we miss. And then when I read the whole thing, when I read what I'm reading 3 times, it's like,
Was it my submission?
yes.
Because I know that what I foiled, there was numerous copies of everything. I'm not
But
sure
with
my
the
submission had.
Acoustalog was there 3 times, JBL Speakers was there 3 times, petitions,
Possibly
3 times.
somebody attached to their submission. So we had separate submissions that attached to this.
The community board probably also sent it.
All in one
Yeah, I was just gonna
supplemental.
say, yeah, because that was
It's
part of the
possible you-
stipulation.
It's possible on this one, you're not to blame, Mr. Flo.
All right.
And Commissioner, the problem then is that because I've seen this, you may have 3 or 4 people submitting the same material.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you really, you can't
And
start
attached.
deciding what to take out because you might miss something.
Okay, all right.
But you go ahead and,
I-
Mr. Palillo.
I stand corrected then, Mr. Pillow.
I understand because it was laborious going through it when I was going through it.
All right.
Next is 370, that's GNF Restaurant LLC.
I'm gonna dismiss.
Dismiss all the charges.
Dismiss.
Next is 382, that's Patty McCarthy's Inc.
Letter of warning.
382.
Letter of warning.
1 second.
What is going on out there? Is that the wind?
That's the wind
With the tree hidden?
involving doors.
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, letter of warning. I'll accept.
Letter warning accept.
Next is 375, 76, 77, 78, Pico de Gallo Inc.
Are you gonna file the new trade name application here?
It was filed in January.
It was filed?
No, we don't, well, our record, we don't have it.
We don't have it yet. It is January 22, not 21. It wasn't clear off. But I had my staff looked and we could not find it.
Just check on it. I'll accept.
Well,
I'll accept.
Tom, I'll forward again.
All right, just look at it again.
Accept.
Thank you.
Thank you.
325, Walker Wine and Liquor LLC.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Haven't been up here in a while. It's nice to be up here. Hopefully everybody was doing well over the last 2 years. So on Friday, I submitted a memo basically with about 4 or 5 exhibits.
Let me just stop you there. Is there any opposition behind you or no?
No, there isn't.
All right, we did get one letter of objection. Go ahead.
Okay. So again, Neil Vasaki for the applicant, Mr. Chen. So I tried to simplify it on Friday and sent up a memo, 2 pages, and then I kind of sloppily or to some degree sent up some exhibits which kind of spelled out, the strong points of this case. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to focus on some of the key points rather than just go over every sentence on this memo that I have. So the applicant is actually the landlord. He's owned the building for about 10 years. He owns several doors over. He's, up until several years ago, he owned a laundromat in the same strip mall, which is 5 stores. The location is actually on the corner of Port Richmond Avenue and Walker Street. Very busy intersection. Port Richmond Avenue cuts right through the heart of Port Richmond, which is a big neighborhood in Heartland Village. With regards to the store itself, so there's also obviously 14 cars that could park in the strip mall. There's also a lot of on-street parking. There's several bus stops in the immediate area. The store itself is approximately 1,587 square feet, which compromises sales space, an office, and a bathroom. The basement is 700 feet. And he's going to have very, very long hours there. The particular store itself has been vacant for about 2 years, and he being the landlord, and after having many meetings with one of his very, very good friends who he's known over 30 years, who actually, in fact, is going to be the manager of this store, and apologizes because he's on a Florida vacation right now. He would have been here. The manager is presently managing a liquor store out in Long Island for over 5 years. He's very well versed in liquor stores and all the things that they need to do to become successful. Staten Island, maybe as you know, is rapidly growing. There's a very, very big influx of Asians. I also do a lot of real estate, and I could have bombarded you with articles and stuff about the growing Asian community, but this store certainly is going to address in the Port Richmond area and the surrounding areas their needs. So now that I got that out of the way, some of my big strongest points are the actual location of this store. And why I say that is because talk about public convenience and advantage, I know we look at a laundry list of factors. The size of the store, the parking, is it a destination spot? Is it going to sell anything different? Declining sales, I can go on and on and on. But the actual specific location of this store, I think, is unbelievable. Why? Because the second closest store, like I said, just to backtrack, I said that this store is virtually at the corner of Port Richmond Avenue. Now, Port Richmond Avenue happens to be one of the closest locations, which happens to be a bulletproof store. It's a very, very small store. I took a peek in there. It didn't seem to have any inventory.
Which one? Wait, is that the second closest?
Yeah, the second.
Yeah, that's, if you could just.
They didn't respond to us?
No, that's Port Richmond Liquors Inc.
You ready? All right, we're going to stop you there. We're ready to vote.
Okay.
Given that, as he was just saying, basically all the closest stores are at least 0.4 miles away. I see reasonable growth. 2 of the 4 did not respond to us. I'm going to find public convenience and advantage and vote to approve.
I vote to approve as well.
I vote to approve on the same ground.
Good luck. I appreciate everything, and I haven't been here in like 2 years. I was a little rusty. I was excited to give my whole drawn-out
You can
speech.
hang around if you want. Hang around and wait till the end and do it again.
We'll be done.
I was actually feeling good about this case, and so now that after winning, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants
sir,
anything, thank you so much. Okay.
It was good seeing you. It was good seeing you as well.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
We don't say that about everybody.
I appreciate that.
Next is 381 Seneca Bar Corp.
Oh my God.
Timothy Allenwick for the applicant. Good afternoon. We are now set to meet with the community board again next week, so I'm asking if we can put this over.
Sure. I'm going to go to 316.
Okay. That should be fine.
Okay.
381 to 316.
Yeah. It's okay with you, Chairman, also.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Is there anyone else, Jonathan, or is that it?
Oh, that's it.
Well, we take 1 minute.
1 minute?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. We're going to go off the record for a brief recess.
Train today, huh?
Yeah.
What time's your train?
3:10.
So first, 299. It's an offer of 2,700.
2,700.
Accept.
300 is an offer of 6,000.
6,000.
Accept.
301 is an offer of 5,000.
5,000.
That's 6,518 months since opening. I'll accept.
I'll accept, but they are not operating as approved, and if they get another one, I think they're done. I hope they're watching.
302 is an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Accept.
303 an offer of 1,500.
I'm going to go to 750.
750.
303. I'll do 752. Been almost 40 years.
304 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
1,500 accept.
305, 307, it's a no contest deep audit hearing.
I'm at 15,000.
15,000.
That was, which one was that?
305 and 307.
15,000?
Yeah.
15,000.
306 is an offer of 3,500.
$3,500.
Accept.
Accept.
308 is an offer of 1,500.
$1,500.
Accept.
Accept.
309 is an offer of 1,500.
$1,500.
Accept.
Accept.
310 is an offer of 10,500.
$10,500.
Accept.
Accept.
311 and 312 is an offer of 30,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna cancel this.
Cancel and bond.
Commissioner Ford.
Yeah, I'm at cancel and bond.
Oh, it's a counter.
Counter,
I'm
right.
gonna counter cancel and bond.
313, it's an offer of 4,000.
Accept.
Accept.
Yeah.
This is again one of those where they said they will not rebuild this bar, and then now it's 5-6 years later, and they're doing the same thing.
Here's the thing, they can't have that bar
Exactly.
because of their size, right? You can only have a certain number of ad bars based on your size.
Well, they're gonna take the one.
Anything- So every licensee can have the main bar, they can pay for 2 ad bars. If their occupancy is over 600,000, they can get additional.
Right,
So
so
they
their
don't have at least
occupancy
3.
isn't, but they have licensed space upstairs.
But they get busy, they put something there.
It's like a 4 or 5 story bar on Caroline
Yeah.
Street. It's mob.
Right, so they're gonna continue to violate that law.
All right.
We're gonna continue to fight.
Accepted.
Accept, yeah.
Accept, yeah.
314 is an offer of 1,500.
I'm gonna go to 1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
315 is an offer of 4,000.
I'll accept 4,000.
4,000.
Accept.
316 is an offer of 2,500.
This is not.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
I don't know.
I think it should.
This is 316?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna state for the record, just in case Mr. Mailer is watching, that he's made a representation in his letter that this place is no longer using DJs and will only use DJs if they're approved. And that was his factual assertion made without support, without even stating how he knows that to be true.
It doesn't matter, he clearly didn't check.
And I went on the internet just to see if this place is using
So
DJs.
did I.
And found out, he also said, Mr. Miller did, that the reason they were
All right, so we're back after brief technical issues.
So we're ready to go?
No, we don't know yet. One second, we're back after brief technical issues. We're still testing with you to make sure you're us on YouTube. All right, so it looks like we're ready. Believe we were discussing 316.
Yes.
Which was an offer of $2,500 that cut off where we were discussing.
I think Gary covered that. You want to just finish it? I won't repeat what I said. I don't know if you got taped or not. You might as well speak about it.
You said we got cut off while you were talking.
Oh, okay. Well, just for the record, there's a factual assertion in the CNC offer that's so easily and provably false that it's really problematic that a representative can send it in. You just need to go to the internet site and see that this location is still using DJs. It wasn't just a one-time special occasion as was represented to us. You know, this location cannot receive credit for mitigation when it apparently it's considered advertised DJs after being caught on now a second occasion going well outside their method of operation.
Okay. And this place was previously summarily suspended. In September of 2020, we definitely told them their method of operation can be recorded music only.
Yeah.
And I see there's just, from the information that council provided, there's just endless advertisement for DJs every night at this location.
Yep.
And just in line with what we did earlier today on that council.
I'm a canceling bond as well.
Cancel bond. That's a counter, right? Yeah,
Counter
counter
offer.
canceling bond.
Yep.
Next is 320. It's a new on-premises liquor application.
I'm surprised he didn't show up. I am going to be, I'm at deny.
This is 320?
320, yes.
Yeah, just.
This is literally right down the street from the place we just canceled. Just.
I just want to note for the record that the driver's license that was attached to the application is an expired driver's license from 2017 to 2018, which appears to me to have been taken from another application, leading one to wonder whether the applicant was even involved in the process of applying for this location.
Signatures don't match either.
There's also some significant signature irregularities.
And he lives in Allentown.
Between the photo ID submitted on this 2017 application at Arabella Paradise and the current, or at least the 2021 signatures for this individual, Mr. Victor Pacero or Paquero.
No, it doesn't matter, because I had hundreds of questions for him, and he's not here, and no one's here, so I'm gonna vote to deny as well.
I as well.
327, it's an offer of 5,000.
10,000.
10,000.
328 is an offer of 6,000.
Accept 6,000.
Accept.
I was gonna counter at 10, just because I think this is the beginning of the end of this place. It's only been open for 2 months before all this happened, but I'll take, what was it, 6?
Okay.
All right, 10, counter at 10.
Oh.
Commissioner Ford, do you want to keep the center or do you want
I'll go with the low, 10,000.
329 is an offer of 6,000.
6,000.
6,000.
6,000 accept.
330 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
1,500 accept.
331 is an offer of 1,000.
1,000.
Accept.
332, it's a default FCA.
Cancel bond.
Canceling bond.
Cancel bond.
333 is an offer of 2,000.
I'm going to counter at 4,000.
Commissioner Ford,
I was going to accept.
Chairman Bradley.
Waiver for inspection on premises.
It's an executive order era refusal to allow inspection.
I'm gonna go to, I'll do 2,000.
So you accept us. 334 is an offer of 7,500.
I'm going to counter at 15,000.
Commissioner Ford,
I'll counter 15,000 as well.
Chairman Bradley.
15 prescription drugs are really a problem.
335 is an offer of 250.
250.
Accept.
Accept.
336 is an offer of 2,000.
2,000.
Accept.
337 is an offer of 2,500.
2,500.
Accept.
Accept.
338, 339, 340 is an offer of 5,000.
5,000.
It's another letter that was somewhat frustrating because the lawyer proceeds in the letter to plead his client's innocence on all of the charges, yet wants us to accept the 5,000 because he doesn't want to go through the process. But go ahead, Commissioner.
Accept.
I'm gonna cancel bond so we can go through the process, but it's 5,000.
341 and 342 is that offer of 10,000.
This is another one of those, it's just really problematic. They're continuing to do what we told them we cannot do. It's relatively unlicensed.
I think we should bring them in.
All right.
Yeah, they're blowing off every condition of the license.
Yeah, my concern about this place is that we gave them patron dancing. So I suppose there could be some little confusion as to what they're supposed to be doing there. All right, bring him in, put it on 316.
That's 316 or?
13.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, what's the next two?
3-2.
3-2, whatever it is.
You guys would send 316 on them.
Yeah, well, for the licensing, I usually.
Yeah.
We can do
3-2 is
fine. It's.
343 is an offer of 1500.
That's.
344 is an offer of 1500.
I'm gonna go 1,000.
Commissioner Ford.
1997.
1,000.
345 and 346 is an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
347 is an offer of 1500.
1,500.
1,500 accept.
349 is an offer of 6,500.
6,500.
6,500. 6,500.
352 is an offer of 10,000.
352 is an offer of 10,000. Okay, 10,000.
This is a place where there is a new corporation that has workers' comp insurance there since before the last sale of minor training.
Is the corporation owned by the same people?
So I don't know how we can accept the penalty. Corporation. It's not approved.
Yeah, so this isn't available.
Yeah, it's cancel and bond.
Yeah. We have 2 charges of availing. There's an explanation about how there's some other business operating at the same location, but they're not running this place. Again,
Oh, see, I got the impression the guy dissolved his former corporation and started another one. That's not what happened.
I don't believe so.
No, but that's not his story. His
Okay.
story is that, I think that's what happened, but his story is, no, there were 2 other businesses that are using this location as their mailing address.
Right. But
Yeah,
he
that's
went
the
out,
same look I had.
but he went out and got workers' comp.
Yeah.
At least this new company has workers' comp.
All right, cancel
Insurance
and
on the
bond.
premises, even though it's just being used as a mail.
So he got rid of it because he didn't want to pay fines for workman's comp.
That was 352.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cancel and bond. 353, it's an offer of cancel and bond.
Accept.
Cancel and bond.
354 is an offer of 5,000.
This is another.
This is just another one.
Bring him in again, or
This
cancel.
this is another location where we have representation that these are not serious charges and the illegal conduct have been abated, and yet if you look on the internet, this location is still using DJs.
Cancel and bond. Cancel and bond. You froze those, screenshots of the DJ advertisements?
Yeah, well, I sent them to you.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, cancel and bond.
355, it's an offer of 5,000.
This is yet another place.
Well, this one differs in that when I went on the internet, I did not find current advertisements of DJs, but we're again, the board is again being asked by a representative to rely on an unsupported assertion that this kitchen is now open and they have a chef working when they didn't, and that they've suspended this conduct.
Grossly,
So bring them in, Donald,
grossly overcrowded.
3-2. And then can you email Joe and have somebody go out there before 3-2?
Who did you ask?
Yeah, you.
Well, if they're
I
watching,
can do it.
if they're watching.
I know. I don't care.
356 is an offer of 4,000.
4,000. It forged the passed away partner's signature for 5 years.
Suppose this accountant signed a dead man's name to the report.
You believe that? I keep.
Yeah.
This is my go-to.
But all of
item.
Is it just not?
I accept it.
I accept.
357 is an offer of 6,500.
I have a cancel bond.
Yeah, let the new guy come and explain.
The new guy's application is being denied.
Well, I guess he doesn't have to. Cancel and bond.
I'm sorry, which one are you up to?
Cancel bond, 57.
Go ahead, Don.
358 is an offer of 2,500.
Accept.
359 is default at pleading.
Cancel for the mayor.
Cancel for the mayor. 360 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
361 is an offer of 6,500.
6,500.
Accept.
362 is an offer of 10,000.
No, and he's basically saying he's doing everything he can. Can we,
Can't make him get a scanner?
well, he's got a scanner, but he's got one of those ineffective scanners. Why don't we bring him in? Although I don't want him to have to come from hometown.
Yeah, it's a long ways to Albany or Seward or Buffalo.
All right, just 6 solid.
I'll accept.
I hope he's watching. He better get a more effective scan because the next one is the end.
So with 363, Secretary's office received an email from Martin Mailer requesting adjournment to March 2nd. It's at a hearing.
March 2nd.
Hasn't this place been a problem, Tom?
Here's what
For a
happened.
decade?
Here's what happened. We sent them a note that more charges
Pendings?
were about to serve, so I thought it was fair.
Yeah.
Before we take the 35, if they know what's happening.
But this has been a problem
Yes.
for a decade, because the last time they had this many charges, they came in here and hemmed and hawed about how they were gonna change their ways. That was back in 2015 or 16,
They've
right?
had charges going back since before you were.
Yeah, this place is not a good name, clearly.
It's over to.
All right, yeah, put it over. Is it going over, or are we just gonna?
3-2. Minimum 1,732.
364, it's a default at hearing.
Cancel.
The one guy that was the owner of that place opened a distillery up in Ulster County.
Yep.
368 is a default at hearing.
4,000.
4,000.
4,000.
369, matter went to hearing.
So why was the available charge here?
I don't know that we knew that this guy wasn't running the place. We had all these other charges, including that it was non-bona fide. And then when the guy came in at hearing, he said, I haven't been there, and someone else is running it. The board clearly has the power to cancel a bond based on the proved charges, which would resolve this. But there's no way that this guy, you know.
I mean,
If you, the place was suspended, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
If you give this license back, you're giving it to somebody who's not.
Well, the license, it's expired.
Right.
That's basically cancel.
Cancel.
And dismiss the charges or sustain.
Yeah, sustain all the charges sustained by the ALD.
371 is an offer of 7,000.
7,000.
Stein, my favorite.
Accept.
So,
372 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
Accept.
373 is an offer of 1,500.
1,500.
Accept.
374 is an offer of 4,500.
4,500.
Accept.
379 is an offer of 2,000.
2,000.
Accept.
380 is an offer of 4,000.
4,000.
so,
Accept.
384 is the delegation of power for the hearing period.
What are we doing about this?
we're gonna hold it over because I have not discussed it with Sharif yet. Discuss.
Which one is it? 316. This hearing done.
Oh, which case? I'm
This
sorry.
is 384.
The delegation of power for the hearing bureau. Do you want 316?
We're still trying to figure out exactly what we're getting in our budget.
3-2 or 316?
316. I used to eat it.
What's next?
388.
I'm going to ask that this, I think the board got a message that they're withdrawing their plea, and you just sent that to council.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, we're gonna try to work this out.
Wait a minute, 388.
88.
Why are they withdrawing the plea? Wasn't it like 1,500? Oh, it was straight no contest.
It was a straight no contest, and my view is that this
Okay.
matter needs to be dealt with by labor and the state liquor authority
Unity.
Right, okay.
So back to council's office, sir.
Back to council.
389, it's a notice of adoption for the,
Vote to adopt these rules change so that the authority can upgrade property to 7025.
I do as well. Approve.
390, it's an offer of cancel and bond.
Cancel bond.
Cancel bond.
391 is an offer of 2,000.
2000.
2000. 2007.
392, it's a default at pleading.
Cancel bond.
Cancel bond. Cancel bond.
394, it's a default at pleading.
Cancel bond.
I'm at revoking bond. Name stop, the whole thing. What, number 394? Yes.
394.
Oh, cancel. All right, revoking bond.
With the name stop,
Yeah.
name stop of the principal.
Yes. Sure. Location too. But prescription, that's what it is. No, it's not. You're asking for a prescription, that's a different animal. Are you asking for a prescription? Yes, I want everything against this place so it comes back to us no matter what.
Well, it won't, if you do a prescription, it's not coming back here for 2 years.
Unless they. Well, no, the landlord's gonna come. But I'll do a prescription as well.
So
revoke bond, name stop, and 2-year prescription.
Sure, and
I vote as well.
you vote for that also?
All right, good to see that we can get Commissioner Ford's dander up. Every now and then. I'm not always a nice guy.
395 is an offer of 6,500.
6500.
6,500. The fire burning inside.
396 is an offer of 500.
500.
500. So.
397 is an offer of 10,000.
10,000.
10,000. Accept.
398 is an offer of 8,500.
8,500.
8,500.
I have nothing else. Chairman, do you have anything?
I do not. Thank you. Hold on.
Thank you.
Back where you're going.